let's see if that did it. Can you see and hear me right now, chat? Let me know. All right, excellent. All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to Paleontologizing. Welcome back to Eastern Utah. Welcome back to the earliest Cretaceous Cedar Mountain Formation, where I'm digging with some paleontologists and volunteers with the Utah Geological Survey. And we've got an iguanodont bone bed here. We're starting to find the first few new bones today, and I'm excited that you're here. We're starting an hour early today because we're going to be taking off about an hour early. One of our crew members has got to go catch a train back to civilization, and so we got to head out a little early, make sure that we catch that train. So wanted to make sure we didn't have too short a stream though. It could still be short. One of my batteries is running a little low, so if things suddenly cut out, that's what happened, just so you know. But anyway, let me to introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and this is how I do science outreach. As a paleontologist, I study fossils, dinosaur fossils in particular. Dinosaurs are what I study, what I publish on in the scientific literature, and during the summers, what I dig up in the field. That's what you're going to be seeing today. So if you're new, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what these streams are all about. This is science outreach in the most effective way that I can muster. Streaming live via satellite from here, kind of near the town of Moab, Utah. We've been lucky today. It's been relatively cool. It hasn't been hellishly hot like it often is in this part of the world. We've got our shade tarps set up. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And we've got clouds to boot. So, pretty nice day so far. It's been a little hot, but, you know, honestly, it's been mercifully cool for our first couple days out here. We just started work at the quarry again yesterday, so we're continuing to do some overburden. That's what Fisher is doing right now, clearing away some of this layer above the bone layer. And yeah, we're going to be exposing more of that bone layer, digging in, hopefully finding a bunch more bones. So good to have you here, everybody. Holy cow. And yeah, hello everybody. Becca Patemore, Care Bear Bonfire, Go for Fluffernut, Racodactylus, Utah Raptor 14. Utah Raptor is from the Cedar Mountain Formation. The type locality for Utah Raptor, I think, is just a little bit over that way. Anywho, yeah. These rocks are a little bit older than Utah Raptor. We could potentially find its ancestor here. Who knows? But, yeah. And hey, Lordy, how are you doing? I hope you're having a good day so far. It's good to see you. Back there in, back home in California, in civilization. Hey there, Nelf. Howdy, howdy. What's shaking? Anywho, yeah. Like I said, our battery's running a little bit low today, so there's the battery that's attached to my hip that the camera is running off of. So there is a chance that we end up, you know, cutting the stream short because of that. We'll see. But I'm trying to take it easy on the battery. And, yeah. Caber Bonfire says, is Utah Raptor an iguanodont? No, so Utah Raptor is a big theropod dinosaur, a big dromaeosaurid. It's the largest dromaeosaurid that I know of. So it's a raptor dinosaur, as the name would imply. Two-legged, meat-eating, very, very bird-like dinosaur. Utah Raptor had feathers, it had, you know, bird-like respiratory system, bird-like skeleton. It had a wishbone. Iguanodon is a big, beaky, plant-eating dinosaur. It's from the opposite side of the dinosaur family tree. And I don't have any visual aids with me right now. I got to track those down. Again, we're still kind of getting settled here. Just arrived yesterday at the quarry. But, yeah. I got a little iguanodon patch that I can put right here, or maybe right here. It's, you know, I can show that anytime somebody wants to know what kind of critter we're talking about. Although this is not iguanodon here, this is a critter that's significantly older from the same family. This is going to be a new species of iguanodont, possibly 2 new species in the same bone bed. We'll be talking about how we tell how something is a new species later on in the summer. Don't want to jump the gun here, but yeah, stay tuned for that. We'll get to it. And yeah. And let's see. And we're not really near Dinosaur National Monument. That's cool you got to go there, Captain Lamy. That's in the northern part of the state, up in Vernal. We are about halfway down the state, so we're half a state's length south from Dinosaur National Monument. And we're just slightly younger in time here. So Dinosaur National Monument represents the Morrison Formation, where you've got Stegosaurus and Diplodocus and Apatosaurus and Allosaurus. Those guys go extinct, and then they're replaced by some of the dinosaurs that we have here in the Cedar Mountain Formation, the very beginning of the Cretaceous period. So these are really important rocks for that reason, just stratigraphically, in terms of the rock layers. Pretty much all this stuff is new, and it's helping us understand kind of this changing of the guard among dinosaur faunas. Yeah, it's important stuff. We'll talk about that later too. And I've never done any digs in Drumhell or CD and Kaiju. Not yet, at least. Yeah, but I definitely have friends who have done that. Yeah, I want to go to southern Utah next. Nice, Captain Lamy. A few months ago, I was in St. George, Utah, which is the very, very southernmost part of the state, like just north of Arizona. And that was pretty neat. Yeah, check out the VODs if you want to see those streams. But we're, again, near the town of Moab, Utah, here in the Cedar Mountain Formation. Let's go check in with the crew. Looks like Dawn brought out the mapping stuff there, so we can talk about that a little bit. Nice. So again, this we had at the very end of last season. There's a bunch of limb bones from our iguanodont under here.
Red scoop, Danny.
Oh, we got a new one here?
No, it's from last year.
Ah. Oh ho ho, yeah, there's some bone peeking out right there. Beautiful. Nice, it's been freshly glued. Nice. Now I saw a piece of loose plaster-covered burlap in here.
Yeah.
That must have been from on top of that.
It looks like we didn't put separator on it.
It does look like we didn't put separator on it.
Which is scary and confusing and confounding.
Huh. Unless the separator is just attached to...
But like, look at that.
That does look like it's just loose plaster on top of the bone. It'll prep off, but that's not ideal.
Yeah, it will, but it's improper technique.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe this is just like Ethan was saying, maybe we just this like corner of it didn't get paper towel on it or whatever.
Could be, yeah. Yeah.
I'm hoping that's not the case for the whole thing.
Well, I definitely put separator on.
I don't remember.
I'm sure we did. We could check the VOD.
This is right at the end.
I'm sure we put separator on there. Yeah. Yeah, so again, this is the protective jacket that we put on last summer. We didn't have enough time to actually get this excavated last summer, so we had to just cap this and then rebury it. So we're uncovering all of this now and relying it so that we can continue working across in the bone layer and find more. So, yeah. Anyhow. Yeah, good stuff. And Utropter says too soon to tell which bone it is. Well, we had a femur under here, we had a tibia, we had, I think, a fibula. We have multiple limb bones from our iguanodont under here. Again, we dug this up last year. We exposed it last year and then covered it back up.
Like this fill area?
So, yeah. So what we're doing now is consulting our maps and stuff from last year.
Yeah, that's what. Okay. Clear this out.
We want to make sure that we're digging in the right direction and all of that. So that's what Dawn and Ethan are figuring out right now.
Fisher's gonna be working on this side. I'm planning on this in between.
Yeah.
And you there.
Alright, just sweep that off.
Yeah. The bone can right there.
Yeah. I guess for...
The strings from tarps that direction.
Oh, that is what we're
So Fisher's going to be exposing more of the extent of that jacket there.
Ultimately, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ultimately, we should.
Alright, we got this figured out.
Yeah.
Nice. Can we take a look at the map real quick?
Sure.
Nice.
So we have that jacket there. Here.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to figure out... Whoa, geez. Showing off for the camera again. He actually minored in ballet back in as an undergrad.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Fisher has a certain grace about him.
So anyways, we had this. You can see it says see you in 2025, not collected yet.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
then we just figured out that the line coming across there is this 50 East line.
Okay.
And that one up there is 103. So right in there is where the 100 north line is, so
Nice.
that's about the right place for it. So
Yeah.
that'll be good.
Nice. Could you maybe explain for a second, Don? Because I try to explain this sometimes to people in chat. Like, why don't you just send a drone overhead and just scan all of the bones? Why do you bother making a paper map?
Well, I mean, that would be kind of fun, but I don't know, looking back at the drone thing, trying to figure that out would be a little bit difficult. I mean, you could always have a backup doing that. I know some people do photogrammetry.
We do some stuff like that in Wyoming sometimes, yeah.
But
why is it useful to have a paper map?
yeah, and this is essentially the way they did it, 150 years ago. And it worked pretty well back then, and it works pretty well for us. So, yeah, I think just, and also we want to get accuracy, but since this is an accumulation of bones, almost all of which were probably like washed in at least from somewhere else, not very far away, but we want to know what's look at that, we found a humerus, and then there's an ulna right over here. They look like they may go together. By having the maps, we can say, well, it wasn't 50 meters away, it was only less than a meter away, so that's a good shot. But since they are dispersed and unarticulated, like, I don't know if millimeter accuracy would tell us any more than centimeter accuracy. So we want to just be pretty close, and then that way we can keep track and do it all ourselves. Plus with the tarps, and even if you take photos of this stuff,
it'll change day to day.
and it's really hard to, you look at your photo and you're like, well, I think that's the bone.
Right.
Sometimes if we drip a bunch of glue on it, you can make it see, but I think the drones or the photos just aren't as good
when you
as
draw a
having
bone
the map.
onto there, it's
And then we
pretty
do,
unequivocal.
then we have, all these dozens of maps, and then we have the log sheets.
Edges of a bone in a
in the ground, for sure. Yeah.
The lighting is
So I think this provides us,
Nice.
accurate enough to get us going, and then if we are going to make so this is some of the stuff that's left in the ground.
Right, over here. Nice.
And we go back, and then if you are going to make the map for, say, a publication, what I've done in the past is I'll scan these in.
Trace over them and
exactly. So I'll scan them in and then import them into a big map in Illustrator. And then especially like for the Saur, when we had Mirasaurus, when we had most of the bones prepared, when I saw, so you can see our sketch maps are just that, somewhat sketchy, and depending on how good somebody is at making drawings, some look a little bit more like the bones than others. I think there was one like this one's pretty good here.
That tib right there.
Yeah, so there you can see a tibia, femur, this is vertebra. But what I would do, once the bone's prepared, I would put this map in, but then if I had the photo of the prepared bone, I would take and trace that in Photoshop and then drop that into this spot. So then we would have a much more accurate representation of what the bone actually looks like, as opposed to the... and as you work in area too, like I know I drew most of these, so I was just over, actually not too far from where I'm sitting right now is where all those came from. So once you've been working this meter, you have a pretty good idea of where everything is. So some of these you can just drop your little grid on there and go, okay, this guy's in between here, and and then we've already scanned all of these PDFs, so when we have them out here, if we did have some sort of catastrophe,
if we were to be struck by lightning or something,
or if we
and burst into flames,
forgot to put them in an action packer, we could probably go through. Right now, we probably have maps in here that we don't really need this trip. So maybe I will go through at some point and pull out, just the ones that are overlapping with what we're doing. And then of course we have the log sheet where each one has its number, and that also has the coordinates.
I recognize that handwriting there.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Danny actually wrote down there.
Yeah, there we go.
And then some of this.
Nice.
So last year we finished up at Dolings Bowl, Ethan's Wash, 284.
284 specimens.
Yeah, just from this hole in here. So then we'll be doing another 100 plus this season.
Nice. Did we have like 100 last year?
Yeah.
Oh wait, 284 was the number for just last season, or that was total for the site?
So here's 2024. There's 184.
Okay, so we had just over
100. Yeah.
Nice.
So still.
Let's try and beat that this year. Let's try and get more than 100.
I think we started here in 2021. So.
Nice.
It's 22. 21 was at Karen's place.
Yeah, 2022 was my first year, and that was our first year working here. Yeah. Thanks, Fisher.
Yeah, it'll say somewhere here where we started last year, but we got up, I think we started in the... Okay, so yeah, we made 63 specimens at the end of 2022 with us, and then we started at 64 in 2023, and then somewhere in here we made it up to the beginning of 2024.
So as you can see, Chad, only the most expensive and arcane equipment.
Yeah, so then we started last year, started 2024 season, 159 was the first one. So.
Yeah. If we had 10 times the budget, we'd probably have like special Right in the Rain paper and kinds of stuff like that.
150, so up to 2. Yeah, so we were well over 200 last year. So.
Oh, we got a question in chat from Nutzens. I'm guessing you wouldn't set a landmark for GPS, a rod in the ground? No, we've got a lot of those. That's what this is right here with the safety muffin on top. This is one of our bits of rebar that we measure out from this point, and that helps us establish our grid. And we've got a bunch of nails in the ground too.
Yeah, so we know where some of our main corners are.
Mm-hmm.
But when we set it up originally, we just made an arbitrary grid over the site. We didn't.
Oh, okay.
So we're pretty much like we know a GPS of the of some of the corners. Like we started at 100 over there. The new site, we just pretty much. It would almost be as if you just had an imaginary meter grid and just dropped it over the site, north, south, east, west.
Yeah. Although we did total station here, right?
Yeah. So we have. Some of the points are shot in for larger areas of the bowl.
Because there are bits of rebar that kind of go throughout the valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then those are, and of course, now we have the metal tags that last at least a few years. So yeah, that's why I'm always such a stickler for trying to keep the nails in the ground, because every time you have to reestablish the grid, they're not always exactly where the other one is. So.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll have to reestablish some of these for sure once we get everything cleaned up and go.
Nice. Oh, Racodactylus says, safety muffin is a term that just delights me. Yeah, I think I came up with that, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah. Liked it better than, what do we call them? Mushroom caps or something? I think safety
anti-impalement devices.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, so this is just so that we don't skewer ourselves upon the rebar. Yeah, it's a little plastic cap. Like this. This one's seen better days. But yeah, a little safety muffin. Good stuff. Hope you got the Taco Bell gift card, lol, says Kennedy. Wait, is it a figurative Taco Bell gift card or a literal one? Oh, mailed it to the P.O. box. Holy cow, Kennedy. I appreciate that. I will be able to use that out to this area to work with Josh Lively's crew at the end of September, late September. So yeah, I can use that to sustain myself on my journey. Thank you, Kennedy. That's very thoughtful of you. Holy cow. And I'll see you later, Ladina. Thanks for being here. You drive safe. See you in a bit. Yeah, so right now Ethan and Fisher are exposing the perimeter of this jacket right here. And we'll probably just leave the jacket on top. I don't really know if there's much point in removing it.
Definitely not, yeah. I don't see any reason to do so.
So, got a little peek at that bone right here. I'll show you again. It's not supposed to be like this, but that's a little bit of bone peeking out there from under the jacket.
Maybe, wrapped up against the...
Yeah. Don't you worry, chat. We'll have plenty of iguanodont bones to show you over the next 3 weeks. Yeah, there will be no shortage of iguanodont bonage. It's going to be iguanodont elements all over the place. So, yeah. And it's not a lot, but you'll get a few tacos. I appreciate that, Kennedy. I am, yeah, definitely a bargain hunter when I go to Taco Bell. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna be jumping up and down when we get back.
I'm really hoping they can get that trailer fixed over. So we're gonna put all this stuff in the course. I guess if that happens, we maybe will have to.
Anywho, let me get some more water before I forget. But how's everybody doing today? I hope you're all having an excellent day. And if you're not, I hope these streams make your day just a little bit better. Again, let me know if you have any questions, especially if you're new here. The whole point of these broadcasts is to do science outreach, to answer your questions, to show you what paleontology is actually like while we're out here in the field. So do not hesitate with those questions. That's the beauty of Twitch. Interactivity. Streaming live via satellite internet there, powered by solar power. There's the solar battery. Holding steady at 96%, that's pretty good. Let me drink some water. Ah, nice. In a few days, I'll have a few more things set up. We'll have some visual aids here that I can show you. I'll have a book about the Cedar Mountain Formation that we'll be talking about a lot this season. I think Krista Sadler actually plans on coming out and joining us for a few days. She's the author of this book on the Cedar Mountain Formation, and I'm in the book too. You should check it out. See if you can get yourself a copy actually before she runs out. But yeah, it's good stuff. Dinosaur Frontier is the title of the book. And then, I also need to bring out my thermometer and stuff too. So we can, in real time, see the outside temperature. And, Castell, how are you doing? Wants to know, how do you find new dig locations? We go out and we look. It's called prospecting. So the way that works is once you find rocks of the right age and the right type, you know that if you're looking for like a particular kind of dinosaur, or you're looking for a particular time in Earth history, you look at your geological maps, you find the right areas. You might get your permits together if it's on public land, and then you walk around. So you're basically just walking around looking for anything that looks like bone. If you're after bone, if you're after invertebrates, then you look for invertebrates, etc., etc. Yeah, you're just picking up little bits of things. Like, is this bone? No, that's rock. It doesn't have bone texture. Definitely rock, not bone. And so you basically just keep doing that. Once you find some scraps of bone, you follow them up, try and find the source, you dig in, and if you get really lucky, you'll have an associated skeleton there. That's how this site was first discovered. Yesterday on stream, Don was describing he and Jim Kirkland and I think Scott Madsen were out here. Jim thought, it says that this is more geological map, but I suspect it might be Cedar Mountain Formation. Let's go investigate. And they were walking around on some of the sides of the valley up here. And they didn't really find anything. And so they were walking back to the vehicles and then happened to stop on the valley floor. And it turns out this whole valley floor here is just chock full of dinosaur bone. It's not particularly pretty or anything, but it is scientifically important. And so there are two new species of dinosaur that are from right here in this valley, Urgavuchia and Mierosaurus. They're both from right here. In fact, Mierosaurus is like just a couple meters from where the quarry is right now. Like a couple layers above where we're digging. So anyway, we've got at least one, maybe two new species of iguanodont that we're currently digging up. Just across the way, there's a new species of ankylosaur that was excavated. It's not been named yet. There's stuff all over the place. But that's how we find these things in the first place, is you go out and you look. In the same way that, paleontologists were doing this back in the 1880s. Not a whole lot has changed, Yeah. And Lil Lexi, how are you doing? Is that an ambassador badge there? Howdy, howdy. Welcome to Paleontologizing. What's your favorite find or dig that you've done? I get this question kind of a lot. My favorite thing that I've ever actually found in the field It's probably in 2012 I found what should be a new species of horned dinosaur, a new ceratopsian. It's not been published yet, but when it is, it should be a brand new species, which is really exciting. But my favorite place to do field work might actually be here. At Dolings Bowl here. I've been doing this since 2022, and yeah, it's always a good time. Good people, beautiful landscape, and then our camp is right over there. We can literally walk from camp to here. You can actually see my tent with the Toyota Prius parked next to it on the left. Well, the Prius is to the right of the tent, but the tent is the... Anyway. So after working in Wyoming or other places where we've got to drive miles and miles to get to different sites, huge, logistically very complicated and exhausting, this feels like a vacation afterward. So it's pretty wonderful. Yeah. And yeah. Hope you're all doing well. We are, Lil Lexi. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Thank you for your question. Let me know if you're curious about anything else. This is, believe it or not, this is how I make my living as a paleontologist, is by doing live streams. So this is how I pay the bills, and when I'm doing other field work, this is sometimes how we fund our field work too, is through viewer support. And that's it's pretty incredible. I'm so lucky to be able to do this. You could call me the world's first full-time live streaming paleontologist, and you wouldn't be wrong. It's been wonderful to be able to kind of carve out a niche for myself doing this, and again, it's a tremendous privilege, so thank you to everybody who makes that possible. Anywho, yeah. How's the weather been for you guys over there? I've actually followed for a pretty long time. I'm just a big lurker. Well, awesome. I'm glad you decided to say hello, little Lexi. The weather's actually been really nice. During certain years, it gets hellishly hot here. It'll be 110, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been in what, like the high 80s today? Maybe low 90s? So very nice for this part of the world during this time of year. Normally it's much hotter. So we've been lucky. We got a little bit of storm last night, a little bit of rain. So it's more humid than it would normally be. It's been the first few days are usually the most difficult, just in terms of like adjusting to the climate, and by the end of the day we're exhausted. Yeah. Over in Nevada, so I definitely get happy when the weather's good for you. I appreciate that, little Lexi. Yeah. Good stuff. This is not too different from some of the landscapes you might see in Nevada, I suppose. Yeah. And humidity is 21%. That's so humid for this time of year, for this region. Shoot. Yeah. And there you go, visibly upset, yeah. I don't know if we're going to have any more ice ages. Not the way things are going now. So, don't want to rain on that parade, visibly upset, but yeah. Hopefully you're not too upset by that. And Trooper 2112, how are you doing? Hello. Let me go drink some more water before I forget. And again, if the feed suddenly cuts out, like if it just goes dark for more than a few seconds, that might mean that my streaming battery died. So yeah, it could be a short stream today. We'll see. I haven't really had the opportunity to set too much stuff up. I just got my little shade tarp set up, solar panels and everything, but we're still kind of getting settled here. Haven't had a chance to charge the big battery yet or anything. Yeah. And there you go. Okay, hibiscus. Very funny. Yeah. Here, let's get some water. Ugh. All right. And where do you guys sleep? asks, we'll get that username, Matthias Shaper, right here in the quarry, yeah. So we just kind of take those tarps off of there, and we kind of roll up like a burrito to keep the scorpions out. And yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, we have personal tents over here. So you can see mine just over there. There's the big camp tent to the right. That's where we have dinner and, you know, where we make our lunches in the morning and all that stuff. And then, I don't know if you can actually see any of the other tents. They're kind of hidden behind bluffs and rock piles and stuff. But we've got other personal tents scattered around. Mine's the closest one over there. Yeah, so I've got a pretty large tent, it's a 10 by 10. I've got a cot in there with a sleeping bag and pillow and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's actually pretty comfortable. It's a lot better than having one of the little dome tents like I used to have back in the day. And Sora Nightshade says, what's it like being a full-time scientist? Seems like an awesome job, but chat never really hears what it's really like. So while I call myself a scientist, I'm doing science, I'm publishing in scientific literature, collecting data, doing fieldwork, all that stuff. I think my experience as a scientist is not representative of most scientists here in the US or around the world, because I actually make my living doing live streams full time. So this is how I pay the bills. I stream multiple times every week. When I'm in the field, it's usually 7 days a week. When I'm back in my office, it's 4 days a week. But yeah, so I'm not right now being paid by a university or a museum or anything like that. I make my living here on Twitch, which again is really, honestly, pretty awesome. I get to be my own boss. I get to make my own schedule. It's got a lot of perks, I'll say that. Yeah. And most scientists will also be in more controlled environments. I don't know if that's true, Gahab. Is it most scientists? I mean, most of the scientists that I know go out and do field work for a good portion of their year, you know? I'm going to be spending, let's see, I've already spent 1 month in the field this year. It'll be 3 weeks out here at Dolings Bowl, and then probably another 2 weeks in another part of the Cedar Mountain Formation in late September. And plus I spent 2 weeks in St. George, Utah, which was field work of a sort. Yeah, it's going to be a solid 3 months, I guess. Yeah, it's a quarter of my year out in the field, which is it's a good amount of field work, even for a paleontologist who does a lot of field work. I think that's pretty decent. Yeah, but here in the paleontologists who kind of make their living in other ways. Ethan here is an intern at the Utah Geological Survey. So a big part of his year is spent in the facility there in Salt Lake City. And he also does a lot of field work like this. He was actually leading our field crew out in Wyoming when we were there. So yeah, and then Uncle Don here is the assistant Utah State paleontologist. So he spends a good part of his year out in the field, but also much of it in Salt Lake at the Utah Geological Survey. But yeah, that's how he makes his living. Fisher here is going to be a grad student, which is really exciting. Yeah, just got into a program. But, so yeah. And then, let's see, Jenny over here, I think runs the anatomy lab back in Arkansas, right?
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, so not a paleontologist, but
No,
she's
not at all.
out here just kind of for the heck of it.
Just for fun.
And yeah, she's actually taken off this afternoon, which we're a little sad about.
Very.
But glad you got to see some bones before you had to take off, at least.
No, we did. That was exciting.
Yeah.
That was really
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Karen here teaches anatomy in Arkansas. So she is a paleontologist, but that's maybe not necessarily her job title. That's true of a lot of paleontologists.
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I guess my job title is assistant professor. So and I'm in the Department of Biomedical and Anatomical Sciences.
Interesting. Okay.
So obviously on the anatomy half of that.
Yeah.
The paleontology is nowhere in the title,
But there are a lot of paleontologists who teach anatomy. They work at medical schools, that kind of thing. So it's not uncommon at all. Yeah. We're talking about like the different ways to be a paleontologist, essentially.
Yeah. But pretty much our whole anatomy teaching crew is paleontologists.
Nice. Yeah. And then Laura here is a PhD student, right?
Yeah.
At Cambridge, do I have that right? Awesome.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So, we've got
Cambridge.
students, we've got professors.
England, in case that's a confusion. That's a thing
Not Cambridge, Massachusetts, if anybody was wondering. Yeah. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah. Yeah. So, it takes all types, field work. I hope that gives you some sense, Chet, for kind of the diversity of different career paths and different ways to be a paleontologist. And Ricodactylus says, "Oh no, Fisher, no, you poor thing." Starting up grad school. Yeah. Fisher's gonna thrive. This is gonna be awesome. Yeah. Fisher's gonna become a Californian. We got another Fisher. How many krona for grad?
Well, it depends highly on how much funding you get, but 49 kron.
That sounds like a steal. Yeah. Yeah. And let's see. Glad they're opening your streaming. Yeah, you bet, Sourdough. Everybody's been very cool about that. And I'll move that wheelbarrow too, so I'm at least pulling a little bit of weight here. Yeah. HD says all the krona. No, Fisher is funded, I think. Yeah. That's right. So awesome. Doesn't have to pay out of pocket for that, which is excellent. Yeah. I'm glad the school knew a good thing when they saw it, They're like, this boy's gonna go far. But yeah. And Trooper2112 wants to know, did dinosaurs have a wishbone like turkeys? Theropod dinosaurs did have a wishbone. That's where birds got their wishbone from. That's an inherited feature from their dinosaur ancestors. So all the two-legged, mostly meat-eating dinosaurs, everything from Coelophysis to Tyrannosaurus, they all had wishbones. T-Rex had a wishbone. Utahraptor had a wishbone. Velociraptor had a wishbone. Allosaurus had a wishbone. That's where the wishbone comes from. That's a dinosaur feature that birds inherited as an evolutionary hand-me-down. I'm going to go ahead and move that wheelbarrow. This right here for a second. Make sure I'm earning my keep to a certain extent, at least. There we go. Yeah, you bet. So yeah, let's see. And number of horn coral fossils. Very cool, NES collector. Awesome. Have to show your stream? Very cool. Do you happen to be... Oh, okay. Finger Lakes of New York. Nice. So, horn corals. I'm guessing those are Paleozoic era.
They're also called Rugos corals.
Rugos corals, yeah. They're not exclusively Paleozoic, are they?
They go extinct at the end Permian.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, not cool for them. R.I.P. those horn corals. Going extinct. at the end of the Permian period. But yeah, I was gonna guess like maybe the really well-known fossil corals in places like western the Devonian, but I don't actually know what it would be like in upstate New York, what age. But yeah, and cone shapes so strange. We had to do a bunch of research. That's a very cool NES collector. I'm so glad you figured that out. That's neat stuff. Yeah, that kind of curiosity is really important. Whenever you can exercise that, that's really cool. Oh, let me get ready to move that wheelbarrow again.
And my guess is it's just kind of.
All right.
You can just dump that in here. Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. At the end of the dig, can we in chat take a ride in the wheelbarrow, please? Maybe. We'll see. Suppose that's not impossible. Yeah. Help fill that.
Careful about scraping really hard down here.
Okay. That's kind of on our bone layer, huh?
Yep. Does that still look like the infill?
This looks like maybe it's fresh.
But the stuff in front of it is
I
infill?
think this might be fill here. Yeah.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Huh, cool.
Let's take a look.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of shape it. Thanks, big dog.
Malcolm.
Malcolm McLeod. some more of my water over here. Robber fly right there. I wonder if I can get that on camera. Yeah, look at her. Big old robber fly over here. We're a big fan of robber flies. Big fan in this quarry. She's right there. Because they eat a lot of the biting insects that bother us. Check her out. Right there. Look at you, robber fly. Oh! Flew away. But yeah, they're friends out here. We like them a lot. Those robber flies. Field in 2011, I was working with Museum of the Raptors out in the Hell Creek, digging up the Yoshi's Trike site, and there were horseflies everywhere, just biting us. It was not fun. And then the robber flies discovered, oh, this is really rich hunting grounds. Let's move in here and eat a bunch of these horseflies. And it was like, yeah, it's like they were sent from heaven. It was pretty awesome. And we watched them fly around and catch horseflies, and we'd be cheering them on. So yeah, robber flies are a lot of fun. They're pretty neat. Yeah. Dr. Terra says, I once saw a robber fly eat another robber fly. Shouldn't do that. There's plenty of big juicy horseflies around to eat, I'm sure. Maybe they're trying to eliminate competition. Yeah. And RDA, we will hopefully have Jim tomorrow. We'll see what time he gets here. He might be arriving after the workday. We'll see. Or maybe he'll come waltzing into the quarry. I don't know. What do you think, Don? Do you think Jim will be here before we end up wrapping up tomorrow?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But Jim should be here maybe for the... He'd be here for the duration afterward, or is he leaving?
He'll take a break sometime before the end, but
Nice, okay.
probably after I get back after that weekend, then I'm done.
Yeah, cool.
Go back for a few days. But
Nice. Hopefully our tarps hold up in this wind.
Pebble.
No wonder thieves, says Zubli. There you go. Robber flies. Eating robber flies. Yeah. And there you go, Golganek, yeah. And is Doc Simpson showing up? I'm not sure, Nice Chert. I'm not sure.
yeah, I don't think he is.
No? No Ed this year?
Yeah, he was already in the area
Oh, okay.
a while ago, but
Gotcha. Won't be coming back. Yeah, okay. No Ed Simpson this year, I guess. But that's okay. Maybe he'll show up in the chat. Yeah. Andrew Memrick says the height of summer must be hard to dig. I mean, we've been really lucky the past few days, and the forecast doesn't seem to show it's going to be hellishly hot anytime soon. So we're excited about that. But we're out here for 3 weeks. A lot can happen in 3 weeks. So we'll see. We're back. Okay, weird. Again, we've got the mini satellite dish there. It's not as powerful as the big one that we had last year, so we might get a few hiccups like that. It's the price that we pay for the convenience of having a smaller, lighter weight dish. So we probably will have more moments like that, so just bear with me. And let me empty out this empty out the Let's take a look at that real quick. Let's see, Don was just using the spray bottle for a second. Do you mind walking us through that? What's the spray bottle for?
Now that we're on this lower, the rock's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
So it still breaks up, but pretty big chunks. But if you put a little water on it,
Absorbs into the mudstone.
yeah,
And makes it
and then a little while, once it soaks in a little bit, it'll break up into smaller chunks.
Nice.
So a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So I ended up hitting. I have this bone right here.
Oh.
Kind of just looks like a fragment. There's a guy there too. But then, as I was working around this, and there's some flat bone here that I had to glue these chunks back in.
Mhm.
So, but just softening up the rock a little bit.
Nice.
Often just a paintbrush and a little water works. But
Yeah.
I have the spray bottles. And then also when it gets hot, you just
You missed yourself.
or it's actually easier to mist other people.
That's really nice. Thanks, Don. Yeah. So when we're excavating here, the bones are often really fragile, and they sometimes want to fracture rather than the rock around them fracturing, and so you got to be really careful about that. And we've got a lot of tips and tricks, just little ways that we can try and get the rock to cooperate, and spraying it with the spray bottle is one of those ways. You'll see a lot more of that kind of thing as the season goes on over the next 3 weeks. And well, holy cow, hang on a second. Apparently my niece and nephew are watching right now. Well. Priya and Kieran, are you watching right now? How are you doing? Welcome to Utah. I know you two have been to Utah before. We're near Moab, Utah. I think you've been there. But I'm out on a dinosaur dig right now. So here's my crew here. We are digging up a brand new kind of dinosaur. Nobody's ever seen one like this before. Not exactly like this. It's gonna be pretty special. It's gonna be new, and we're very excited about it. We've got some bones over here. They're underneath that white thing right there. So we just got here yesterday and started digging in this hole. There's some dinosaur bones we left last year underneath this protective plaster jacket. So we've got some of a big plant-eating dinosaur, like iguanodont. You guys know iguanodont? This dinosaur is like iguanodont, but a little bit different. It's new. About that. So yeah, if you two are wondering where I am, I'm out here digging up dinosaurs. So let me know if you have any questions, and maybe your mom or dad could type them in. Yeah. And Anodyne says so the dinosaurs don't get cold over the winter. More so that the bones don't get destroyed. We want to protect them until we can dig them up properly. Yeah. And Enlightened by Bravery. Hey, thank you for the raid. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Welcome to a live dinosaur dig with the Utah Geological Survey out here near Moab, Utah. We're digging up what is very likely a new species, or maybe two new species, of iguanodont dinosaur here. And yeah, we don't quite have, well, maybe I could start working down that layer over there actually. Be working in the sun, but that'd be fine. Maybe I'll actually start digging here. Yeah. But how was your stream, Enlightened by Bravery? I hope it was really good. What did you get up to? And yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this too. This is my full-time job. This is how I make my living, is by streaming here on Twitch. If you have any questions about dinosaurs, about the history of life on Earth, about extinction or evolution or the very philosophy of science itself, whatever you're curious about, let me know. I'm here to answer those questions to the best of my ability and show you what it's like to actually do field work in fossil science. So I'm glad you're here. And the UGS, they rock. Yeah, the Utah Geological Survey, they do rock. Yeah. And let's see. EBB was wandering about New York. Very nice. But her phone battery died. We might have the same thing happen here. Our battery's running a little low, so if the stream cuts out suddenly, that's probably what happened. We'll see. And Melania Obama says, do paleontologists ever team up with oil drillers? Remember you said once you were able to do some excavation before a housing development was started? Yeah, not anymore. There used to be a lot of different paleontologists who worked with petroleum companies, with Chevron, with Exxon, with, British Petroleum, with whoever. These paleontologists didn't work on dinosaurs, but they worked on basically fossil plankton, marine microorganisms in the fossil record. And those marine microorganisms are really important for helping determine how old the rocks are. So in certain parts of the world, scientists have drilled cores and been able to study all of these different layers of different, essentially plankton fossils, and they can associate those with certain ages of rock. So if you find a particular species of fossil diatom, fossil foraminiferan or something, then it has to come from this particular time period. And that's really useful information if you're exploring for oil or for natural gas or something like that. Okay, these rocks are too young, these rocks are too old, these rocks are just right. Studying the fossils in there can help you determine how old those rocks are so you can more easily find the oil. So there used to be a lot of different paleontologists who worked for oil companies and studied things like, microfossils. But I think those days are past at this point, where most of those rocks have been explored and mapped to the point where they don't really need the help of paleontologists anymore. So yeah, fewer jobs for us fossil scientists, unfortunately. Yeah. There's flies on my wrist. Yeah. And Mythic Mexican's got a good question. Would you have a pet dinosaur? Which one would be a good pet? Let's go around the quarry, actually, and ask. Let's see if I can bug everybody just a little bit. You got would you want? Let's see what kind of answers we get. Let's see. We'll start over here at the other end of the quarry. Who's back fishing over here? All right, we've got kind of a silly question from the chat if people would be interested in answering it.
All right.
We've actually talked about this before, Karen, but somebody wants to know if you could have a dinosaur as a pet, what kind would you choose and why?
Definitely something like Hypsilophodon.
Yeah.
Right? Or what some paleontologists like to call a speedo.
Small-bodied, early diverging ornithischian. Yeah.
You got it.
Something like Compsognathus.
Okay.
Okay. So you'd feed yours meat, but
toothy?
I just want one that's just gonna
But small.
Yeah.
I just want one that's gonna graze in my yard, so I never have to mow the lawn.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And also,
Brilliant idea.
like a little goat or something, right? But
Yeah.
also sort of like small enough to be manageable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want
It's not going to accidentally run you over.
I don't want
yeah.
livestock. If I want a pet, I want like something kind of small.
Fair, yeah.
And they seemed like they were probably reasonably sociable.
Okay.
I don't know how well they'd get along with humans, but I would hope, right?
No, enormous teeth or claws or anything that would be.
Like they could do some damage,
Probably,
in the same way as a parrot, right?
Yeah.
But if it liked you and you knew how to handle it, it would be fine. But it's not gonna maul you and kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna. As a plant eater, it's not gonna purposely eat you either.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. It's gonna be content to just eat salads. Eat salads. and clean up your yard and all and cute.
I like that idea. Yeah. And if you pick one like Culindrodromius, it would even have like a fuzzy coat on it. So it'd be kind of cuddly potentially.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Jenny, do you have a dinosaur of choice? No. Okay. Yeah.
No, I can't say that I do.
Yeah. Fair. Let's go ask Fisher. Fisher, if you had to pick a dinosaur as a pet, what kind would you pick? You could pick an avian one if you want to.
Damn it, Tenny, you
You already had me.
I preempted it.
Yeah, I was gonna say budgie.
A budgie, yeah. That is it. If anybody here in chat has got a pet bird, you literally have a pet dinosaur. Birds are the only surviving dinosaurs still around.
I've heard budgies make good pets. So
yeah, okay.
Friendly and easy and sociable and.
Budgie, yeah. If you had to pick a non-avian dinosaur.
Maybe like Mononicus.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just walk around and you can take it on a walk and it would just be tearing into ant mounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Nice, okay. Yeah, it's a good one. You should say Triorarchuncus, because that's one of mine.
Or maybe some sort of like ornithomimid would be fun too.
That would be really fun. It looks sort of like having an emu in your yard. Yeah. Very, very emu-like dinosaurs. Alright. And, let's see. Don, if you had to have a dinosaur as a pet, we have an obligatory question from the chat.
Like Archaeopteryx, maybe.
Archaeopteryx? Yeah.
Except I'd hate to have one that could fly. You wouldn't want to like keep it.
You have to clip
in a
its
cage,
wings.
Yeah. Or like a Microraptor or something like that.
Okay, that would be pretty cool.
4 wings.
Yeah. Hopefully we'd get along with Moki.
Yeah, but no, probably the little ornithischians probably.
Yeah. That's kind of the correct answer, is a Hypsilophodont. You know. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. We'll see what Ethan says. This is kind of one of those questions that's almost embarrassing to ask.
And here's the.
Ooh, glue.
It says acetone, but it's glue.
All right.
Don't trust the Sharpie, man.
All right. Yeah, I should write that on my hand. Do not trust the Sharpie. The Sharpie tells lies.
I swear, I just.
That was a memento joke there, chat. Ethan, if chat wants to know, if you were to have a dinosaur as a pet, what kind would you choose and why?
Probably a Giganotosaurus.
Yeah.
Because they're small and
easy to care for.
Easy to care for, yeah. They don't require a lot of food. They're not expensive.
That's a good answer, yeah.
Yeah.
Good pet to have in an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Cool.
Solves your landlord troubles. If you
there
have
you go.
any.
Yeah. Good answer. Yeah.
What was yours?
Oh shoot, I didn't say that, did I? Let's see. Dinosaur to have as a pet. Probably maybe Epistocoelicaudia or
just so you can prove that you can pronounce it.
Exactly, yeah.
This is my pet. Epistocoelicaudia.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, or maybe like Amargasaurus.
That'd be sweet.
You know, it's just always getting caught on power lines and stuff like that as it's walking around. I think it'd be pretty funny.
Or a Bahatosaurus.
Yeah, that way.
It would have to walk backwards in the power lines.
There you go, yeah. That's even better, yeah. Yeah. Dr. Davasaurus says Leptoceratops seems cool to have. It would be until they like dig a giant hole in your yard and then...
You like getting your knee chomped off.
Exactly, yeah. If you think parrots have got a powerful bite, you know, if you're one of those guys, the head is 10 times bigger.
They love to steal. It should be called
Kleptoceratops, yeah. Yeah. Well, good stuff. Oh, and do we have Ken here in the chat? We have Ken and we have Ed Simpson right here in the chat together. That's awesome. Hey Ken, I hope you're doing well. Excited to see you out here tomorrow.
About it.
Yeah. And yeah, Ed, we were just talking about you. Somebody in the chat was asking if you'd be making it out here to the field this year, and we said probably not, but not 100% sure. But hope you're doing well, Ed. It's good to see you. Don says hi.
Hi, Ed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks for popping in. It's good to see you. Ask Ken if what?
If he's coming out.
Oh,
Ken.
So Ed says hi, Don.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, Ken, are you gonna be out here tomorrow? We're excited to see you. Yeah, and we're doing well, Shark Geek. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's not too hot today. I'm guessing it's like low 90s maybe. So pretty cool for this time of year, honestly. And we've got a nice breeze going on, as you can tell. Let me see if I can fix that pole over there on the shade throw. Get over here. There we go. Oh goodness, I gotta set this down. I'll set you down for a second, chat. Hang on. There we go, that should do it. Nice.
Yeah.
There we are. Excellent. Alright, catch up to chat. Here, I gotta turn dark mode off. This is unreadable. Appearance. Dark theme. Nope. I can't see. Shoot. Light theme. Bow. There we are. Much better. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. I agree Protoceratops would make a pretty cute pet anaconda. Yeah. Just watch out for that beak. Yeah. And Ms. Art Rule says, why don't you put weights on the poles? We don't really want weights flying around in the wind. What we do have are these lines that run to these and hold these taut so they don't blow around too much, but sometimes they come loose. It's just the fact of life out here. It's just how it goes sometimes. Yeah. And HD says Danny has a pet velociraptor. Yeah, Velia hasn't made an appearance in a while, but I'll hopefully be bringing her to TwitchCon. That'll be fun. She's gonna get a bit of a makeover and hopefully some sound effects. I think that'll be cool. It'd be neat to gauge people's reactions when they see a live velociraptor under my arm, fully feathered and yeah. But yeah, good stuff. Holy cow, we've got 345 people watching right now. That's pretty good. If anybody's here for the very first time, welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm doing some field work with the Utah Geological Survey here near Moab, Utah. We're digging up what we think are at least one, maybe two new species of iguanodont dinosaur. These are big beaky plant eaters, and hopefully next time I'm streaming I'll have some visual aids to show you. You can look up iguanodon if you want a rough approximation of what our critter would look like. Yeah, we're pretty excited about this. It's important work. Yeah, and yeah, let me get some more water. Here, let me put this over my shoulder too. So we've got the weight distributed evenly. I gotta check on my battery level. What are we at? 60%, 66%. That's pretty good for the encoder. Yeah. The other battery will last longer if I don't have the encoder plugged into it. So I think we're doing okay. Yeah. Good stuff.
Ontogeny.
And 50 months. Thank you, Yogurt Carol. Holy moly. Thank you so much for the amazing field streams. Thanks for being here, and thank you for making those streams possible through your support, Yogurt Carol. That means a lot to me. Thanks for the raid last night. You bet, Yogurt. Glad we were able to do that. Glad we could catch you. I hope your Lego owl build went well. We knew that you were working on building a dinosaur, so we had to raid in. By the way, Yogurt Carol, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, obviously. But any chance you're making it out to TwitchCon this year? It'd be great to see you again. And if you wanted to do another stream with Velia the Velociraptor from TwitchCon, that would be really cool. Yeah. And how warm is it there, Pigeon Being? Warm. It's probably in the low 90s Fahrenheit. Yeah. And Lenina, thank you for gifting Rachidactylus. That's wonderful. I really appreciate that, Lenina. Thank you, thank you. Reiko, I hope you're doing well. Yeah. Wasn't the most scientifically accurate owl, purple and yellow feathers, but it was a great build. That's like, well, probably not to other owls. I don't think they've got violet spectrum, and so the kind of hint of iridescence that you can see on, say, a crow or a magpie or a raven, to one of those birds, there's a vibrancy and a series of colors there that we can't even imagine. We're incapable of perceiving that, but since they can see more colors than we can, they're getting the full effect, which is really cool. I don't think owls are like that, but other birds are. Yeah. And Kennedy says, how close is one iguanodont to another? Is it like saying equine to a horse to a zebra? So, yeah, Equidae is the family of horses and their relatives. Horses, zebras, donkeys, etc. They're all equids. So Equidae is a family. Iguanodontidae is also a family. But I think Iguanodontidae is probably more diverse than Equidae. So there's more genera and species in that family. When we're talking about this animal here, it's about 142 million years old. So this probably 20 million years older than Iguanodon. Somebody Iguanodon Baroness artensis and tell me how old it is. I want to say it's 120 million years old, something like that. So our dinosaur here is 20, maybe 22 million years older. So it's, yeah, they're not super close, but they are members of the same family. Horses and zebras would be closer to each other than this iguanodont to iguanodon, if that makes sense. Yeah. And a fun lesson in qualia, they see colors we can't even imagine. Exactly, Rachidactylus. Isn't that neat? Yeah. And thank you, Victorious, for the 37 months of support. Really appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me here on the air for that long. Yeah. And, NPC Upvote says, what was the deepest fossil ever found? Did they get really deep? Or has one ever been found inside caves? Yeah, so fossils do get found inside of caves. Occasionally, you'll get vertebrate fossils, the fossils from animals with bones that are found inside of drill cores. There is a piece of news that's been spread around pretty widely over the past few weeks that in the parking lot of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science in Denver, Colorado, in the parking lot they were doing a drill core. They were trying to figure out what are the rock layers underneath the parking lot. So they went down something like 800 feet, maybe deeper, I don't know, with this drill core. And they were examining the core afterward when they pulled it up. So it's like this cylinder of rock with all the layers in it. And in there, they went straight through a dinosaur bone from the, I think, the Denver Formation, Maastrichtian age, the end of the Cretaceous. That's probably either Edmontosaurus or Thessalosaurus, some kind of ornithischian dinosaur. That's extraordinarily lucky that they managed, like, it went straight through a dinosaur bone. But, yeah. But there are fossils found all the time in drill cores, sometimes thousands of feet deep. But these are usually the fossils of things like we were talking about earlier, fossil plankton, fossil diatoms, foraminifera, radiolaria, that sort of thing. So just tiny little ocean critters. And that's the way that a lot of paleontologists study those things, is they look inside of cores like that to find them. So if we're talking about microscopic fossils, those are found as a matter of course in drill samples from way, way, way down deep in the rock layers. But yeah, if we're talking dinosaurs, that's extremely rare. It's happened 2 times that I can think of. It happened in Denver, Colorado, and I think it happened in a Scandinavian country. I don't remember if it was Norway or Sweden. I think it was Norway. There was a dinosaur bone found in a drill core from the Triassic period. I think it might have been Plateosaurus, presumably. Yeah. So it does happen. It's just rare. Oh, and Ken, who was involved with this, by the way, we want to talk to you about that when you get here, Ken. They knew it was the D1 part of the Denver Formation. They wanted to see the sedimentology of the underlying rock. Very nice. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think Ken was there with that process, didn't you? It'd be great to hear that straight from you when you get here. Yeah. And Oscar Jr. says, what type of biome had the lowest chances of preserving fossils? That's a tricky one. I have to think about that. Top or something? Or, because fossils are preserved in what we call depositional environments. So those are areas where you have sediment being laid down that can later become rock. So fossils have to get buried in order to get preserved. So if you have areas, biomes, environments, where there's no sediment being laid down, when it's just stuff being eroded away, stuff is being subtracted rather than added, then you're not going to get fossils from there. So it's like mountaintops are a good example. You look out at distant mountains, and mountains are a very temporary thing. They end up sloughing away, eroding. Once mountains get pushed up, erosional forces are working to bring them down, to erode them away. And a lot of the sediment from that goes down into the lowlands, and that can bury critters and fossilize them. But at the top of the mountain, if there's an animal or a plant that only lives on mountaintops, fat chance is going to be preserved as a fossil. Unless it happens to get washed down into a valley and preserved. But if you're trying to get a complete picture of mountaintop organisms, good luck, Makes sense. Yeah. And volcanic environments are very much non-fossiliferous, says Jody Fish, to a certain extent, yeah. Yeah. And Jody Fish says, oh yeah, volcanic environments are very much non-fossiliferous. That, it depends. So, sometimes you do get fossils that are preserved because a volcano erupted. But we're not getting fossils in the lava flows. We're getting fossils that were deposited when volcanic ash settles down, when that becomes your sediment that becomes sedimentary rock. So ashfall fossil beds in Nebraska is a perfect example of this. We did a stream from there back in 2021, I think. Or maybe 2022, I forget. But yeah. I don't know, maybe the other guys have got some ideas. Worst environments for preserving fossils.
Forest floor.
Forest floor is a good one, I guess, yeah. Where just everything's turning to soil and degrading,
Mid-ocean ridge.
Mid-ocean ridge, there you go, yeah. Yeah, or maybe
oh, there it is.
subduction zone. Those rocks are not long for this world. But, yeah. And yeah. Basaltic lava flows. Yeah, there you go, Jody Fish. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. How about rainforests with many plants and trees, says Oscar Juniors? Yeah, in a rainforest like that, often rainforests are in depositional environments, so you can get stuff buried in rivers sandbars and stuff like that, but the like floor of a rainforest, the forest floor, can be a terrible place to become a fossil just because there's so many organisms around. It's so humid. Things just get eaten by bacteria, by scavengers, by everything else. Nutrients are at such a premium there, and everything's competing so fiercely that could be a terrible place to become a fossil. Like, your remains would just get eaten up. Yeah. And erosional environment says Ken. Yeah, like I was saying, like a mountaintop is an erosional environment. Yeah. Yeah. And glaciers, that maybe is a good example too. Yeah. Glaciers. If you're an organism that specializes on living on glaciers, that might be terrible for getting yourself preserved. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of which one would be the worst environment to become a fossil in. The least likely that you'll get preserved and fossilized. Glacier might be. That might take the cake. Yeah. And NPC Upvote says, have we ever tried to find or found dinosaur fossils in permafrost in Alaska? No, because there is no ice on our planet. There's no ice in the whole world that survives from the age of dinosaurs. You know, climate fluctuates on our planet. Temperatures go up and down. You get ice ages, you get periods with no ice on our planet. And there have been a few of those times since the end of the age of dinosaurs. Like the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum was a time when I don't think there was any ice on planet Earth. You know, it all got melted away. So there's just no ice left from the age of dinosaurs. Zero chance you're going to find a Mesozoic dinosaur preserved in ice somewhere. It's just not going to happen. None of the ice is that old. Yeah. Anywho. Yeah. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. Gonna go bury one in the ice to confuse everyone. There you go. Don't do that. Yeah. Oh, and I didn't even ask what Ethan's got over there. Mummifying a specimen over here. What's that, Ethan?
Bone piece.
Nice, alright.
It's a thing that Laura found earlier today.
Oh, cool, okay, excellent. Will that be our first numbered one of the season?
Yeah.
Nice, okay. Cool. Yeah. Ethan's using a similar technique to the one that I learned for wrapping fossil plants in the almond this year. Pretty neat. Yeah.
Ropes.
Yep.
Twist it up.
And pursue 303. Yeah, it might have been, well, yeah, there does seem to be a big explosion in fungi like right after the KPG boundary, or at the KPG boundary essentially, when just like so many things were dying. But that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, hang on, we got a little grasshopper here. Let's see if we can get close enough for you to see it. It's a little yellow guy right there. Hey friend. Whoop. Boink. Very brief. Not sure what kind of buggo that was. Kind of cool insect. Didn't look like a run-of-the-mill grasshopper. I don't know. There's so few critters around here in Dolings Bowl that like every time I see some sort of, you know, multicellular animal, I'm like, oh boy, that's cool. What are you? Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So at the end of the Cretaceous, at the KPG boundary, from what I understand, there is like a big spike in fungal spores in those rocks. So like, you know, when it's like 70 or 80% of life on Earth is dying out, you're going to have a lot of fungus just going nuts, digesting everything, all the dead stuff. But that doesn't necessarily mean that things aren't. You would still get stuff being buried, but there just might be far fewer animals on the landscape in order to get preserved in the first place right after that. You know, you've got this big extinction event that occurs, and like everything's dying off, so yeah, for a while you just don't really have a lot of critters around. In fact, maybe we can talk to Fisher about this, because I know when Fisher was working with the Denver Museum, they were looking at some stuff around Corral Bluffs in Colorado, and yeah. What was that like, Fisher, if we could bug you for a minute? When you're working at Corral Bluffs.
Working the Paleocene?
Yeah, so like, that's earliest Paleocene, right?
Yeah, it's within 1 million years of the KPG boundary. And so it's split into 3 different units, Porkin 1 through 3. That each kind of represent a different part of the earliest Paleocene, this first 1 million years. And you get different faunal groups throughout each. So the first one is kind of like a fern spike, so the first kind of level of recolonization, a lot of ferns and stuff.
So all the other plants died out and ferns just go nuts, because they're often the first plants to recover.
And then you get palms showing up after that, and then I think in Porkin 3 is when you get your first legumes, so that's kind of a notable find from this area around Colorado Springs, is that it's the first place on Earth where we see occurrences of the bean family.
Interesting, yeah.
And so we get accompanying mammals that are feeding on that, a lot of turtles and some crocodilians as well. Almost all the vertebrate stuff is within concretions. And so it's quite hard to find the fossils. But big, marshmallow blocks of concretion, you crack it open with a rock hammer and sometimes you find a mammal skull or a turtle shell or something in it. But yeah, it was quite difficult to find fossils there. I think it's mostly due to the way that things are preserved. And
so it's the depositional environment. Rather than animals being super rare in the landscape, it's like just not a good environment for preserving animals.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a humid jungle, so it would have been really hot.
That makes sense. And like we were talking about, jungles are not a good environment to get preserved as
but
possible.
Like the end Permian, there were just so few animals on the landscape that there is this specific strata called the dead zone, where you don't really find much, or if you do find things, they're usually limited to 1 or 2 different taxa. So that's like where Lustrosaurus shows up in the dead zone, just because it crosses that boundary.
Cool. Thanks, Fish. Yeah. And from what I understand too, the appearance of legumes, I don't know how speculative this is, but it's like, I've heard that used as an explanation for one of the reasons why mammals are able to get big pretty fast after the end of the KPG, is that they can just bulk up eating these protein-rich plants, these legumes like that. And it's an interesting idea. I don't know how you'd go about testing that, but it is kind of a just so story. But it makes sense, at least. Yeah. Oops, let me put that glue out of the sun. There we go. Yeah. And I love beans too. Nice shirt, yeah. That's a staple of my diet, especially as a vegetarian. Lots of beans. Love beans. And And NPC Upvote wants to know, do you think any dinosaur bones were ejected into space with the impact of the asteroid? The blast was huge. It's crazy to think about. Imagine a dinosaur bone traveling through space. I suppose it's possible, but if you've got that much energy after an impact, it would be... I would think things would kind of get like semi-vaporized. I'm not a physicist. I'm not an astronomer. I'm not an astrophysicist. Difficult time imagining that, Also, it takes so much energy for something to reach escape velocity and leave Earth's gravity well. I don't know if anything really would have been launched up into space. I kind of doubt it. But I don't know. Yeah. And, there you go, Hannah. Yeah, some people are allergic to legumes. That's fine. Yeah. Your boyfriend can still be a legit mammal, even with a legume allergy. And Conical Bell says, how far is the dig site from roads, places to stay, etc., or do you camp out? No, we camp out here, yeah. So again, my tent is over there, and other people's tents are kind of scattered around the valley over here. I'd say we're about 50 miles from the nearest town of any consequence or prominence. Yeah. We might be a little bit closer to Moab than we are to Green River, Utah, but those are two towns that are nearby. And we'll actually be going to one of those towns this evening to drop off one of our crew members who's going to be heading back to civilization. Heading back home, I should say. I suppose Green River and Moab are civilization. Especially compared to what we have here at our field site. But yeah. No, we don't have the budget to be able to stay in a hotel every night or anything like that. We have to be very, very frugal. We don't have a lot of money out here. So hotels are a luxury that we cannot afford. So yeah, we bring our own personal tents out here and we sleep in those. And we're almost all volunteers here. Ethan and Dawn both work for the Utah Geological Survey, so they're getting paid. But everybody else here, we're volunteering. I'm also getting paid, but through you in Twitch chat. Thank you for your support, everybody. But I'm lending my services for free to the Utah Geological Survey here, and I'm honored to do that. Yeah. And is it cold at night? It's not. I wish it were. It might get down to like 70 degrees at night. So that's some less pleasant things about working in this area is that it doesn't really cool off at night very much. So it can make it difficult to sleep. You know, there's some nights where it might be 85 degrees all night long. And you just have to deal with it, you know? Yeah. And Grand Bridget says you got to understand how much damage the atmosphere does to an object trying to enter or leave at escape velocity. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. But again, I'm not a physicist. Yeah. And Magic Man CT says it's a pretty empty part of Utah. I got stuck on I-70 out there once. Oh boy, yeah. There's a sign on the highway because I-70 is kind of nearby. A sign that I saw when we were coming in was like, oh yeah, Utah I-70. No services, next 70 miles or something like that. Yeah, parts of Montana are like that too, where there might be one gas station in like a 100-mile radius or more. Yeah. And Jim says, Ken asked, will Jim have his chair? It's here. Yeah, we've got Jim's throne ready to set up. We also got to set up his tent too. Haven't done that yet, but we'll get it done. So things should be all set for Jim when he arrives. Again, he'll be getting here tomorrow. We'll see if you get here before he does, Ken. Yeah. And NPC says, I heard that dinosaurs were the most highly evolved animals to ever exist on Earth because they evolved for so long. That's not really like a thing, highly evolved. Any evolutionary biologists or paleontologists or in the chat are going like, ooh, yeah, because those concepts don't really like mean anything. You could make a convincing argument that every animal, every organism on Earth today is the same level of evolved because they've been around the same length of time. But anyway, dinosaurs were extraordinarily successful and well adapted to their environments, and they were around for a very long time, and they're still around today. Birds are living dinosaurs, and there's over 9,000 species of living bird today. Birds outnumber mammals in terms of species, like 2 to 1. There's twice as many bird species as there are mammal species, at least. So yeah. Let me look at the rest of your question. Are their designs really the best? Do you think some animals would evolve to resemble them? No, these are great. And so Yeah. We, as human beings, only exist today because dinosaurs went extinct, except for birds. So, what you gotta understand is that we, as human beings, are mammals. Mammals are vertebrate animals with, they feed their young with milk, they often have fur or hair, they're often warm-blooded, all that stuff. Mammals are a group of organisms. Mammals and dinosaurs evolved around the same time. So, like, they both have their origins in the Triassic period. But during the entire age of dinosaurs, while dinosaurs were dominating Earth ecosystems on land, you had dinosaurs as small as a sparrow, you had dinosaurs as large as a whale, or larger than any whale, honestly, much longer than any whale. Mammals were almost universally tiny. The average size for a mammal during the Mesozoic era would probably be about like that, about mouse size, maybe smaller. The most gargantuan mammal from the age of dinosaurs is like maybe the size of a badger, maybe, smaller than a Cocker Spaniel, I'll say that. That's the most gargantuan mammal for the entire age of dinosaurs. And it seems that dinosaurs just kind of outcompeted them. Mammals were not able to get big because those niches were occupied by dinosaurs, and dinosaurs were just better at being large, and they kept the mammals down. That's kind of the traditional story, and I think there's a lot of merit to it. I think it's true. So without that asteroid impact at the end of the Cretaceous period, there's no reason to think at all that human beings would ever have evolved, and I'm not convinced that creatures that look like humans would ever have evolved either. It doesn't seem like dinosaurs are really evolving in that direction. It doesn't seem like they're, trying to take on humanoid forms or anything. I think it's really hubristic to say that, all organisms want to evolve to look like humans. It's like, no, we've got a really weird kind of body plan that's the result of just weird happenstance, Since we evolved from earlier, monkey-like ancestors, we're kind of shape of modern human beings is dependent on that, That's where we came from. And so there's a lot of like weird design choices. I'm anthropomorphizing here. But like a bunch of different design choices that were made just because, that's the path that things were on, and then eventually we get to us. I don't think there's anything inevitable about a humanoid body plan. I don't know. That's one of the things that in evolution you are the product of your ancestors, And dinosaurs had almost 180 million years to evolve and change, and it doesn't seem like they ever got any closer to anything resembling a person. It's just, I don't think that even if that asteroid had missed Earth and dinosaurs had been allowed to continue thriving and dominating Earth ecosystems, non-avian dinosaurs just continuing until the present, I don't think there's any reason to think that they would have evolved into anything resembling a person. Other scientists disagree, but I think the general consensus would resemble my opinion here, that like it's not very likely at all. Yeah. And Scorch Hellfire says the usual sci-fi trope of so many humanoid aliens doesn't really make any sense. I totally agree. I think a lot of that is just, part of it is the limitations of human imagination and human storytelling, where it's like, well, if we're going to have these alien characters in a TV show or a movie or whatever, we have to make them resemble us because that's the easiest form to relate to, But also, I think it's just practical considerations where, like, you're going to have a guy in a suit portraying this alien creature. Like, it's got to be basically humanoid in shape because that's the easiest way to do it. You could do that with the lowest budget. It's the simplest, just slap some makeup on him, some, rubber prosthetics and stuff, and suddenly there's an alien, That's one of the things that it's always irked me about Star Trek. And sometimes things like Star Wars too, is that, a lot of the alien species, it's like, oh yeah, it's just a guy, he's got pointy eyebrows. That makes him an alien. Or, oh yeah, she has big ears or something. she's an alien. It's like, that's not how these things work. Anywho. Yeah. Oh, but it is like the Jurassic Park raptors. Yeah, how they're too big because they had to be able to fit a guy into the suit. Yeah. Yep. Creature from the Black Lagoon. There you go, Conical Bells. Yeah. But that was also, humanoid in shape because that guy, who I think was like an Olympic swimmer or something, they had to be able to get him into the suit. So of course it's going to look like a person. Yeah. And that is really funny too, Hanaconda. Yeah. But yeah, why all aliens are humanoid shaped? Well, not all of them are, Iacane. There's that... Yeah, some of them are not. But, I don't know, that never made any sense to me either. Like, I'm not a physicist or a chemist. Maybe those fields are much better represented in Star Trek. But it seems like anytime they try to delve into biology at all, it just makes zero sense. Yeah. Don't get me started. Yeah. And media can be far more inventive with aliens. Yeah, that's one of the things that I really appreciated about that movie Arrival. Has anybody here seen that? Is that the aliens from that look truly alien, like totally otherworldly. What do they call them? Heptapods or something? They've got 7 limbs, which aren't really limbs. Anyway, I thought that was really cool and interesting. And it was very imaginative in a way that I found really refreshing. Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting, Dr. Irrefutable. The animated series, huh? Yeah. And hey, Crimson Carnotaurus, things are good. It's good to see you. And Zenith NYT says, do you know how many different types of ecosystems might have been in the area you were at? It seems like it's... I don't know. It'd be nice to talk to Jim about this when he gets here. But the depositional setting here is pretty swampy. So the rocks that we're working in here there's a lot of mudstones. And mudstones are found like at the bottom of lakes and stuff like that, or kind of swampy environments sometimes. This might be out on a floodplain, it might be Oxbow Lake, something like that, but yeah, generally pretty kind of swampy, mucky. Yeah, these rocks we have here
I don't really see what you mean.
are...
But what do you think it is?
You can see how it looks like dried mud, because that's what it is.
See the shininess of it?
This is
Like, it looks like,
like an ancient mud flat, basically, or like a swampy area. It probably would have been kind of nasty, to be honest. And you would have had all of these dinosaurs walking across, and occasionally some of them getting stuck in the mud, like Mierosaurus. I might show you that tomorrow. Yeah, and then you've got all of this plant material. Well, later on in the summer, I'm sure we'll encounter a lot of different roots and bits of a plant that we call Tempskia, which is a fern-like kind of plant. Yeah, that's all over the place here. So, the way that Jim described it last summer, very memorably, he said this environment would have been like a boggy fern fen. Yeah. We'll talk more about the depositional environment later, too. Anywho. And Pursue says this terrain looks very similar to my house in Spain near Alicante. Interesting. Pretty neat. Yeah, what's kind of funny is that parts of Spain and Portugal do have very similar landscapes, and they are sometimes equally rich in dinosaur fossils. If the rocks are of the right age, and you just have all kinds of beautiful exposed rocks right there on the surface, it could be a wonderful place to go prospecting for dinosaurs. And they have dinosaurs in spades there on the Iberian Peninsula. What they have that we don't, however, is an ocean nearby. Jim was telling me about a crew working out there in Portugal, digging up like a stegosaur from the end of the Jurassic. So they're working all day in the hot sun, and then whenever they want to, they could just walk down to the beach and just go swim in the ocean. And that sounds fantastic. We don't have that luxury here. We're pretty far inland here in Utah. Sometimes we daydream about that, like, oh man, imagine if we could just walk a couple 100 meters that way and then jump into the sea. That would be so nice, especially when it's 120 degrees. And hey, Otter Do It, how are you doing? Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. But, maybe you'll find water if you just keep digging. I doubt it, Carval. I think you'd have to go pretty deep here in order to find groundwater. This is a very, very dry environment. And as a testament to that, there's very, very few, birds for one thing. We were talking about that yesterday. I've not seen a single bird all day today. So that's 2 days now. No birds. Just nuts. Spending all day outside to not see a single bird is crazy, Yeah. Karen said that she saw a bird yesterday. Couldn't tell what kind it was, but I've not seen a single bird today.
No, I haven't seen any today.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. The one I saw yesterday was just sort of medium brown body, slightly darker head, kind of nondescript.
That sounds kind of like a cowbird,
It's,
like you were saying.
Cowbird's my best guess that it might be, but I'm not confident about it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Where's all the birds? It's just too dry. Not much to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see birds flying across, but they don't stay here.
No.
Yeah.
No, they fly over and say, no, I'm not stopping there.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. I suppose if we were to die here, we'd have vultures come visit us and eat us, but yeah. And hey, Cyan Streams, how are you doing, Valent? It's good to see you. Hello, hello. I hope you're doing well. I'm impressed that our battery has lasted this long too. How's it doing on here? Let me check. 44%. Okay, that's okay. We should have enough for the rest of the stream. Probably go for about another hour and then wrap things up. We've got a crew member we've got to drop off in town so she can find her way back home. So we're going to be wrapping up early today, which is why I started the stream early. But I hope you're doing really well, Balint. It's good to see you. Hope all is good. Yeah. And just working away. Hope we have some good ground birds. Dinosaurs, you mean? Yeah. No, we had just had our first bone of the season collected. First one to get a number, anyway. And Dawn is finding some more right there. Fisher's working on digging around that jacket so that we can get that thing flipped and collected. Got a bunch of limb bones in there. Yeah, good stuff. That jacket's left over from last year. Anyhow, yeah. I could jump in there and try and do some digging, but I kind of feel like I'd be in the way at this point. We've only got maybe another hour here before we wrap up, so I think I can just lavish you with attention, chat, for the next hour. Yeah. Arculus says, are we winning, chat? I think you are. Yeah. And NPC Upvote says, did carnivorous dinosaurs see every other animal as prey, or did they ignore some? It's a really difficult question to answer because, I don't know, when we're trying to make inferences about the behavior of extinct animals, when all we have are usually bones, or sometimes we'll have things like footprints or burrows or other trace fossils like that, it could be really, really difficult to infer things like behavior, let alone stuff like instinct. But I think the important thing to remember is that, unlike what you might see in the movies, dinosaurs are not monsters. They're just animals. They did animal things. They're just trying to get through each day and survive and eat and sleep and reproduce and do all that good stuff. So thinking of carnivorous dinosaurs as being just ravenous monsters that would eat everything in sight, I think that's a mistake. Would they see a human as prey, though? I don't know. Maybe we would smell like a, we're mammals. Maybe we'd smell like a mammal. It'd be like, that's a weird mammal. I've never seen one that big before. Maybe some of them would try to eat us and others wouldn't. I don't know. Yeah, we're weird critters as human beings. We're bizarre animals. So I don't know what a big theropod dinosaur would think of us. That's a cool looking rock. Ooh, look at that one. Neat. Got a lot of green in that. That's interesting. Almost reminds me of jade, but it's not jade. Neat little inclusion in it. Cool stuff. Lots of neat rocks here. I like to think I'd look delicious as I came. I don't know. Depends who's looking and how hungry they are, I guess. And Shaun of the Dead says maybe like sharks, they'd want to take a test nibble first. Maybe. Yeah. And there you go, Grand Bridget. Yeah. And even current predators tend to have preferences. Would be reasonable to think the same for extinct predators. Yeah. That sounds reasonable, Otter to it. And Rhacodactylus, I think I agree with you too. Sharks don't have limbs though. So, big predatory dinosaurs would have other ways of like interacting with their environment. If we're talking about the critters that lived in this environment, you'd have dromaeosaurs and you'd have big carnosaurs like carcharodontosaurs. And they walk on their hind legs, so their arms are free for doing whatever, for grasping prey, for poking stuff, So I kind of wonder whether they would, they'd walk over and like just gonna bat you with their hand or something if they're trying to figure out what you are and if you're good to eat. In the same way that a shark might like nibble something or bump it with its nose. I wonder if those guys would use their arms for investigating. It's possible. They'd probably also have a really decent sense of smell too. I wonder. Arculus says, if I was a dinosaur, I'd eat me. But you'd be a dinosaur, though. Autophagy in dinosaurs. I don't think that's ever been documented before. Yeah. And Golganek says, I'd be more concerned about being perceived as some weird unknown threat to be attacked. Maybe. I don't know. Again, it's such a difficult question to answer as a scientist. If we're thinking about, in science is all about testing ideas, about forming hypotheses and using evidence to try and disprove those hypotheses. And if you can't, then maybe they're true. In a situation like this, short of hopping into a time machine, it's kind of hard to say how a predatory dinosaur would view a person. I should take this opportunity to emphasize, rather, that the first human beings evolved about 65 million years after the extinction of the dinosaurs. 65, well, let's say 60 plus million years. It depends where you draw the line on like what is a person, Where do you draw the line between human ancestors and humans? But anatomically modern humans, we've been around in our present form for about 200,000 years, give or take. So, yeah, there's about 66 million years separating the last of the non-bird dinosaurs, the last of the Mesozoic dinosaurs, from the first humans. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. I couldn't wait that long. Yeah. Was the animal modeled after a known species? Oh, Carva, that was supposed to be Dilophosaurus, yeah. Which is, a long time ago I was going to make a big long, a long-form YouTube video about Dilophosaurus and its portrayal in Jurassic Park and what that animal was really like and that kind of thing. I started filming parts of it and then I just kind of ran out of steam. Editing takes so long. But yeah, it's supposed to be Dilophosaurus. The funny thing is, in Jurassic Park, the Dilophosaurus is way too small. Real Dilophosaurus is way bigger. That sucker's like 20 feet long, like almost 7 meters. Yeah, and it would have been significantly scarier in real life than the little doofy guy in the movie. We have no evidence that they spat venom or that they had like a crazy neck frill, like an Australian frill neck lizard or anything. There's no reason to think that they had either of those things. Wouldn't have needed it. They would have been a really big, formidable predator. One of the biggest carnivorous dinosaurs that would have evolved up until that point. But the double crests on the head, those bony crests, those are legit. Yeah. Just about everything else about it is pretty fanciful, though. Yeah. And Chopped Wool says, what's the best type of fossil to find? The best type of fossil to find, in my opinion, is one that links two different groups of animals. So, yeah, if there might be a modern group of animals, like, say, baleen whales and toothed whales. You know, the whales that eat krill and the whales that eat other stuff with teeth. You know, think about like a killer whale. When you find a fossil that links those two groups, it's like this is the ancestor of both of those groups. That's incredibly cool, you know? Yeah, when you can find an ancestor of two different clades like that, it's pretty exciting. Because we can, using modern methods and modern creatures, we can surmise how long ago that ancestor would have lived. We can look at how different the DNA is of a blue whale and a killer whale. And we can go, oh wow, these are very different, and if they're evolving at such and such a rate, then they would have had a common ancestor 50 million years ago, or something like that. Or maybe, in this case, like 30 million years ago or something. And then when you go and you actually find a fossil from that time period that seems to be like a potential ancestor of both of those groups, that's incredibly cool, you know? Because it's a prediction that held true. It's saying, here's what others to be this way, then you go and you find that fossil that confirms that. That's incredibly exciting. And there's a lot of cases of that in the history of paleontology where there's different groups of organisms that we suspect share a common ancestor, and then it turns out that they do. Like, we can't just tell that from DNA, but we can actually find the fossil of that ancestor or a very close relative of that ancestor, something in that same evolutionary milieu. That's so cool. Archaeopteryx is another good example where it's a link between reptiles and birds. We now know that birds are a kind of reptile because, well, shoot, birds have scales on their feet. They've got a lot of different similarities with different groups of reptiles like crocodilians. So for a long time, people wondered, where did birds come from? Some people said, well, they've got a lot of similarities to things like crocs, but they seem so different that, like, what would that ancestor have looked like? Well, it's something like Archaeopteryx, which is also a dinosaur. We of dinosaur, and dinosaurs are a kind of reptile, so birds are a kind of reptile. And the fossils help show us that, and that's incredibly cool, you know? So I hope that's a good answer. Yeah. Yeah. And very cool pursuit, yeah. Further inland as Jurassic and Cretaceous too? Yeah. Yeah. I think Portugal has got some, what is it, Larinha Formation? Should be right there on the coast. That's late Jurassic. A lot of... yeah. And drink some more water. And Melania Obama says, evolution of the use of venom. We do have some clues about how venom evolved in that there's some modern animals like varanid lizards, monitor lizards like the Komodo dragon. They have compounds in their saliva that are a lot like venom. And it's actually a big argument right now among people who study Komodo dragons whether or not they have venom. You would think it would be an easy question to answer. Either they do or they don't. But the thing is, trying to define exactly what venom is turns out to be a bit trickier. So it's like a question of definition. The compounds that they have in their saliva, do those qualify as venom or not? They have a lot of chemical similarities to a lot of different more derived venoms that you find in things like snakes or spiders or whatever. But yeah, so when we find something that's kind of a borderline case, Like, is Komodo dragon saliva, is that venom or is it not? Are there venom compounds in there? It can give us some insight into how venom may have first evolved, where it's like it's kind of a missing link in between true venom and just saliva that looks like venom or something like that. Does that make sense? Venom's a really difficult thing to study in the fossil record because it doesn't really fossilize. But you can infer that different creatures would have had venom if they have things like hollow teeth, if they have teeth that are almost kind of like hypodermic needles where they're hollow on the inside. That might be a venom delivery vehicle. That might be a way for them to, inject venom into their prey. So yeah, stuff like that. We can infer that certain fossil organisms, extinct critters, would have been venomous if we find stuff like that. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the evolution of venom. It's outside of my realm of expertise, but it's fun to think about and talk about a little bit. All right. Ambiguity in the natural world. I know. Can you believe it? Was that Golganak right there? Chat's flying past me. Yeah. Do the venoms that nudibranchs take from what they eat count as venom? I think it depends, Hanaconda. So there's, as I understand it, there's a distinction between poison and venom in the sense that venom is usually produced by an organism and injected either into prey or into a predator as a defensive mechanism or something like that. Whereas poison is like, it's like if you eat something and you get sick or die, then it's poisonous. But if the thing bites you or stings you, then it's venomous. Does that make sense? I don't know if there's an actual chemical difference there. I don't know if poisons and venoms are different chemically. I think it might be primarily a definition based on the delivery vehicle. The mode of delivering the venom, or the compound, whatever. Poison or venom. But, yeah, we've talked about this before on stream when I've been in my office and had the ability to just look things up in real time on the computer. I don't have that right now. So, not very easily at least. I could try and look it up on my phone, but, yeah. Yeah. Both the food and the nudibranch stings. Interesting, Hanaconda. Huh. And anemones, right? I want to say that anemones have venom. I want to say that that's something that they actually produce metabolically. So their bodies actually just make that. They manufacture the venom. Because they've got tiny little microscopic stingers on their, I want to call them tentacles, but it's probably not the right term for anemones. Anywho, yeah. An NPC upvote says, with our current knowledge of what dinosaurs looked like, do we know anything about their sensory capabilities or organs? I believe the biggest weapon of the carnivorous ones would have been their sensory system, developed for so long. Or do they have some mind-blowing sensory organ we don't know of yet? So we can actually figure this out for a few dinosaurs. Famously, T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex, we know that it had a phenomenal sense of smell. And we know this because we can study its brain. So dinosaurs, like a lot of other vertebrate animals, there's a brain case in the, and the brain would pretty much occupy most of the brain case, as I understand it. And so you case and you open it up, an endocast. So you can make a replica of the interior of the brain case, figure out the shape of the brain. And for dinosaurs like T-Rex, there is an absolutely enormous space for the olfactory bulb. That's the part of the brain that deals with smelling. So the olfactory bulb in turkey vultures, which are a kind of modern bird, that's enormous. It's crazy. It's huge. And they've got maybe the most phenomenal sense of smell of any non-marine. It's just bonkers. Tyrannosaurus would have had an incredible sense of smell too, because it had huge honking olfactory bulbs. We can similarly look at the the part of the brain associated with vision. So where the optic nerves would come off of, and then there's the part of the brain that actually processes that information. Those are really big too. So T-Rex not only would have had really big eyes, about the size of oranges, but it would have had a tremendous sense of vision as well. Like it could see really well. So it could see and smell really well. We can, in some cases, figure out what the hearing capabilities of different dinosaurs were like by studying their brain cases. So we can tell that certain dinosaurs would have been able to hear very low frequencies or very high frequencies. I think some of this too is like inner ear bones and stuff. We can make some inferences about that. So we know more than you might imagine about the sensory capabilities of different dinosaurs. And yeah, what's cool is that some burrowing dinosaurs, like say Thescelosaurus, they seem to have been able to, well, they may have been, their ears may have been kind of fine-tuned for hearing things underground, and also for hearing low-frequency calls from things like T-Rex that were trying to eat them. Yeah, I don't know the exact detail. The exact details are kind of slipping my mind. But yeah, that's a thing for Thescelosaurus, if I recall correctly. Yeah. And chicken bacon Swiss. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. So Komodo dragon saliva. We do know that it's full of bacteria, but is there venom in there too? This is like a subject of serious debate among people who study Komodo dragons. And that I find surprising because that's an animal that we have around today. You can go study it. You can go look at it in a laboratory. It's not just a fossil critter where you've got to come up with kind of oblique ways of figuring this or that out. Like you can poke and prod them. You can examine the venom, the saliva glands and stuff. And still there's debate over whether or not they have venom or not. Yeah. I don't think there's been a consensus formed around this yet. I think it's still being debated even to this day. Because that's the old idea that you would hear, like when I would see animal documentaries back in the 1990s. They would say, oh yeah, Komodo dragons, they have a septic bite. That's the term. Where there's so much bacteria in their mouths that when they bite you, it gets infected really quickly, and then you get sick and you're easy prey. They can track you down because you're just not feeling well. You're like almost on the verge of death, and then they track you down and then they rip you apart and eat you. Whether or not we do know that animals do that. Like when a deer gets bitten by a Komodo dragon, clearly it's not doing well afterward. The question is that a result of that septic bite, all the bacteria in the mouth, or is there actual venom in the saliva? And that's the thing that's being argued over. Yeah. And Crimson Carnotaurus says, I thought it was already confirmed that they had a venom with anticoagulant. It's debated. So again, from what I understand, there are two different factions in this debate. There are the researchers who say, yes, it's definitely venom with anticoagulant in it. And there's researchers who say, no, we can't call that venom. It might be on its way to becoming venom, but it isn't venom yet. And the primary ill effect from being bitten by a Komodo is, sepsis. It's bacteria, it's infection. Both factions will state their case with a lot of confidence, and they'll say it's definitely this way. And you talk to somebody else and they go, no, it's definitely that way. Yeah. I don't have a horse in that fight, is what I'm trying to say. I don't personally know any of these researchers. I don't really have a good sense for which of these possibilities is most likely to be true. I don't know. Yeah. From what I understand, the jury is still out. But I'm not an expert on Komodo dragons or any kind of lizard, frankly. We do have an expert on lizards here in the quarry. Maybe we can ask Laura about that real quick, actually, because she studies squamates. But maybe I'll ask her tonight rather than putting her on the spot on camera. But yeah. At what point does gingivitis become a weapon? There you go, Shaun of the Dead. Yeah. And Crimson Carnotaurus, yeah. Tyrannosaurus, septic bite. I don't think there was ever much evidence that was the case. It was just a fun idea. that people passed around, but I don't know if that had ever actually been published in the scientific literature. I think that was more a popular press kind of thing. Yeah. Hanaconda says, my housemate is currently obsessed with the most recent Walking with Dinosaurs. Really, Hanaconda? Because we have some of the stars of that right here in the quarry right now. Yeah, I still haven't seen it, but yeah, several members of our team here, namely Ethan and Dawn, were in the most recent Walking with Dinosaurs. So here's Ethan right here, and there's Dawn over there. But
Extremely famous.
extremely famous, yeah. The one and only Dawn DeBlue here. How much? I haven't seen it yet. Still, how much screen time do you think you have?
A couple minutes
Couple minutes.
altogether, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Which is more than I thought I'd get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they filmed for 11 days with us.
I heard it was, it was kind of an ordeal. In fact, you told me.
Yeah,
Well,
pretty torturous.
I won't say you told me. Somebody told me it was kind of an ordeal.
Yeah, between, Josh and Jim and the whole thing. But yeah, they were, normally we've done like an hour-long documentary.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were out for 11 days.
11 days. That's nuts.
So yeah, at one point there's some pretty cool drone footage of the site, and then also like Josh and Jim driving around the Moab area.
Mm-hmm.
But there's probably, 30 seconds of driving footage, and it took them 13 hours. They left at 6 in the
That's
morning.
a terrible ratio.
6 in the morning, and they returned at 7 at night. And they're all just like,
For, what did you say, 15 seconds?
maybe 30.
Maybe 30
yeah.
seconds of going,
But yeah,
shoot.
and the people in the know are like, that's interesting. They went to Lori's site via the yeah.
I'm sure it
There were
looked
some
pretty
cool
though.
shots in like Fisher Towers, like Castle Valley.
Huh.
But yeah, it's primarily him, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, probably not going to be in it at
It's
all.
mostly going to be Jim or...
But yeah, so Jim was
or
probably
Josh.
in the most, and then Josh, and then
Nice.
was probably the
Yeah.
third most. But yeah, I thought it was decent.
Yeah.
They kind of Disney-fied it a little bit too much for my taste. But
Yeah.
I think that was.
Fair. Yeah.
Plus, I feel bad those poor
We
little.
we could watch it in camp one of these nights if you wanted to. I've got a projector and fire up the laptop, but I don't know. It's if you want to. I might just watch it when I get home. But yeah. Anyway, Hanaconda. Yeah. If your roommate is obsessed with, started watching it with their kid, but now they're watching it on their own. Oh, very nice. Yeah. Well, tell him you got to talk to Dawn DeBlue, who is from that on stream today. Yeah. Yeah. And there you go, Kennedy. Yeah. 3 days to sit up, film for 2 days, and we get 5 minutes in the can, which might just be on the editing floor. Exactly. Yeah. I was really looking forward to being there for that. Because for the past 2 years, I was hoping to go do field work with Josh Lively at the Lori's site, Ankylosaur bone bed. But then Josh told me, no, sorry, you can't do that because we had to sign an broadcasting corporation, so there can't be any meat whatsoever on site. And from what I understand, this was also like no pictures, no nothing. Like people can't video chat with their family at home or anything from the site because the BBC has an exclusive rights to all digital images from the site for 2 years or whatever until it premieres. So I couldn't go there because I have to stream to make my living, and if I can't stream, I can't be there. So I didn't want to, be away from stream for 2 weeks. Anyway, now that it's fine there, so hopefully we'll be doing some work with Josh Lively in September. But that was a big pain in the butt. I probably would have been on camera too. I probably would have been in Walking with Dinosaurs because some of my friends and colleagues were able to be on that. But if I can't pay the bills, I can't be there, If I were independently wealthy, I could have done it, but I'm certainly not. So, yeah. You couldn't stream from a normal movie set too? Well, that's the thing, Salt Pastion. It's not that I couldn't stream from the set. It's that people were not allowed to take photographs from the site before or after the film crew was there, where it was like they wanted to have exclusive rights to all imagery from that spot for 2 years. So, because they filmed it 2 years ago, and last year it was still under embargo. Like, even after they'd already collected all the footage and done everything else, I still couldn't be there. I think Josh was maybe trying to be extra careful not to violate their but seems, I don't know, seems like the BBC was being a little bit ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. There you go, Geeks Tour, I know, right? I appreciate that, Hanaconda. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah. Here, let me look and see what NPC Upvote had a question here that I want to address. It sounded good. Does every fossil we have indicate that the cause of that guy's death was almost likely the asteroid and its aftermath, or do we have finding the fossil dinosaurs probably died fighting? Oh, so NPC Upvote? Here, that's the thing. When we're talking about the age of dinosaurs, we're talking about 175 million years. So for 175 million years, you had dinosaurs living their lives, you had species evolving and splitting and going extinct, and so we're talking about this grand dynasty of creatures for 175 million years. And then at the very, very, very end of that, the very end of it, you have an asteroid that hits. And that causes the extinction of all the dinosaurs except birds. Actually, most of the birds went extinct too. It was only a handful of bird species that survived. Something like probably fewer than 10%. But anyway, so you had countless generations of dinosaurs of different species living and dying, doing their thing before that asteroid impact, you know? Yeah, you know? It would be like asking, like, oh, so did all of the ancient Egyptians die from COVID? It's like, no, what are you talking about? That was thousands of years before. Sure, people died of COVID in Egypt in 2020 through today, but like, that's, you know, maybe that analogy doesn't make any sense. Apologies if it doesn't, but yeah, there's a lot of time represented there, you know? Yeah. I've not seen that snow denchi, but that does sound funny. Oh no. But yeah. And Biggest Hobbit says, how much do we know about dinosaur lifespans? That's a great question. Not a lot, I think. Shoot. Actually, can I borrow you for a second, Karen?
Sure.
Something we could talk about. I don't know if you've done histo before, but you might know more about this than I would. What do we know about dinosaur lifespans? I think the number of dinosaurs that we've actually like done histo on is not very high. So we don't really have a very good sense for like how old dinosaurs could grow to be before they died of natural causes or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really the area I work in,
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure from some histo papers.
I want to say the oldest dinosaur, like the one that was most mature when it died, was in its like late 40s. I want to say it was
That
like.
sounds about right. A lot of them are reaching maturity at like, you know, somewhere between 10 and 20 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, they were. I mean, especially large dinosaurs, right? That you don't really, even when you grow really, really fast, you don't attain that size.
Right.
like within 2 years. And
if you're going to be 50 feet
Yeah.
long, like it's
Yeah.
still going to take you a while to get that big, even if you're growing
Yeah.
really, really quickly.
Yeah. And they can reach sexual maturity before they reach like their full eventual size, but it's still like half that size or something,
Right, yeah.
roughly like that. When they tended to reach sexual maturity, as far as we can tell. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're not rabbits. They're not just gonna like
yeah.
right? They're not being born and reaching sexual maturity and reproducing, all in the same year.
Right.
They're
They're taking a while to do that.
They had
yeah.
fairly long lifespans, at least the larger dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the little ones were a little bit faster.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
not sure how much histo has been done on like
It's like
some of these smaller either
disconcerting how little. So when we're saying histo, we're talking about histological sampling. So like cutting the limb bones open, usually limb bones, and then counting the growth rings inside, kind of like you do with a tree. Figure out how old it was when it got cut down. Same with a dinosaur. It'll have growth rings in its bones, and then it died, and you can tell how old it was when it died because of that. So
yeah.
It's not been done for a whole lot of. You've done this though with Iyuku, right? You're
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the one who did it.
Yeah.
But yes, that my co-author on that who did the work was Anusia Chinsamy.
yeah.
So she's really the histo person. I defer to her expertise. Yes, I am on a paper where we did histology because we were essentially naming a taxon
based on juvenile material,
based
right?
on like babies. Like when I say juvenile, I don't mean like teenagers, like not quite adults, but no, they're like a year old or less.
Shoot, yeah.
They're the cutest little specimens.
Let's see if we have that link in the chat. Yeah. Somebody get Iyuku there on Wikipedia. Iyuku?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
What does that name mean?
It means nestling.
Nestling.
In Khoisan.
Nice.
So, which is one of the many languages spoken in South Africa, and we have our South African authors to thank for that name.
It's pretty
Billy
cool.
de Klerk wanted to make another name like Quabosaurus that had a click in the
Right.
name,
Yeah.
and we talked him out of that because we're like, nobody can say that name. Like nobody knows what NQW means, Billy. And so we ended up with Iyuku, which does not have a click in it. It's still,
bit easier to pronounce for non-Xhosa speakers.
A bit more universal in people reading the name and being able to pronounce it based on that. So as fun as it is to like, and like I like learned when I was in South Africa, like it took me a while to like get Quabosaurus down. And I still mess it up sometimes. Yeah. But I'm like, yeah, most people just say Quabosaurus.
Yeah.
If you've heard that name,
I
that's
typically
what we're
do
talking
too.
about.
Yeah.
It's a basal like ornithomimid. Yeah. Ornithomimosaur or something.
Which when I was a kid, I remember that being in like the Jurassic Park 3 Field Guide to Dinosaurs, and they thought it was like some sort of weird basal theropod or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the initial description, like it was very different, and then it ended up being, and then it kind of was reassessed, and I think Jonah Chonier was on that part, who was one of my lab mates in grad school. So, yeah.
Cool.
So, fun stuff.
I need to reread the Iyuku paper because that's really cool. Just talking about their ontogeny and what they look like as juveniles, and there's no adult specimens.
So we have like one sort of like chunk of a distal femur.
Oh, okay.
That is likely from, it's definitely like an ornithopody kind of thing. It's likely the adult of that, but there's really nothing diagnostic about it, and there's nothing to definitely tie it to the specimens that we have that we named Iyuku that definitely have, like unique morphology to them.
Sure.
It would be great to know what they looked like as adults.
Maybe someday.
And maybe someday we will. But but
cool.
for now, we had enough distinct material from juveniles that we're like, we're gonna name this, but also we're naming just something based on really juvenile specimens. So
you picked a good name. I mean, you're acknowledging right there, like, this thing's a nestling. It's hard to ignore. Nobody's gonna.
Yeah, you can't ignore it when you see the specimens. I mean, like we have like a maxilla that fits on my thumbnail, so the maxilla is the upper jawbone, and it's got like 4 teeth in it that are like just
that
coming
tiny.
out. Yeah, it's
That's
so
nuts.
It's so tiny. It's so adorable. I love these specimens. But like, they're but we did histology because we're like, okay, these are not just really tiny adult dinosaurs. These are nestlings.
Right.
We don't know how big they would have gotten ultimately, but but that's what we got, so we named it.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I really need to go back and reread that paper. That's really cool. It reminds me of, there have been other times when people have described baby dinosaurs as being,
ontogeny.
they like just kind of assumed that they were adults. Things like, I think Procheniosaurus is a good example. It's like a juvenile Hypacrosaurus, and they're like, oh, look, it looks small and primitive. It must be a new species. Like, no, it's a juvenile. And then Mosaurus is another good example too, where there were hatchlings found of this critter, and they're so small. And I don't know whether it suggested this in the scientific literature or whether it just became a thing in the popular press, but it's like, oh, it's the world's smallest dinosaur, Mosaurus, the mouse lizard. These guys were so tiny. And I think it even appears in Michael Crichton's novel, The Lost World, the sequel to Jurassic Park. Like, one of the characters encounters a Mosaurus, and I think the assumption is that it's an adult and it's only this big. But yeah, you gotta be careful with that stuff, you know? Yeah. So, yeah. But, yeah. Anyway, to answer your question about dinosaur lifespans, we don't have a good sense for how old dinosaurs could get. We can tell mostly that dinosaur growth, it's not like it just continues at a constant rate until the animals die. Like, if they're allowed to live long enough, the growth plateaus. So they reach like pretty much a maximum adult size, and then they're kind of done growing after that. We can tell that from the growth rings in the bones, that the growth rings kind of get closer and closer and closer together until you get what we call an EFS, an external fundamental signature, where the lines get so close that they're like indistinguishable. That means the dinosaurs are pretty much done growing. We don't have that many dinosaurs with an EFS. And so many of the dinosaurs that we have were immature when they died. Like, they weren't done growing yet. They weren't what we call skeletally mature. Their skeleton is still growing. Even if they're mature enough to reproduce, they're still growing. And that's interesting that, like, a lot of dinosaurs grew really quickly, but I don't know, many dinosaurs seem to have lived fast and died young. Finding truly skeletally mature dinosaurs is more rare than you would imagine, which is very different from like mammals today, where most mammals, they grow pretty quickly and then they're done growing and then they stay that size like their whole lives afterward. And usually dinosaurs were very different than that. Given that a lot of them got a lot bigger than most mammals too. They could just kind of continue to grow for a while until they eventually plateau, and they might be moving through different ecological niches, essentially doing different jobs in their ecosystem at different stages of life at these different size classes that they're moving through. So there's still a lot that we don't understand about dinosaur growth and ecology, and I think that's intensely fascinating. I think that's really cool that we're still kind of figuring this stuff out. There's a lot of cool discoveries still out there yet to be made. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. And Carvu says, have you come across fossils that predate the age of dinosaurs? I have, yeah. Normally, I'm not out there exploring in areas where there's rocks older than the Mesozoic era, but on a few occasions, I've found fossils that are from before the age of dinosaurs. Usually, like when I'm traveling or on vacation or something, I'll poke around on some rocks and find some stuff. So, like, when I lived up in Montana, sometimes I'd go hiking up in the mountains and I would find bits of crinoids and brachiopods from the Paleozoic era, so from before the age of dinosaurs. I think probably from like the Silurian period, something like that. I've found Devonian corals in western Michigan. Petoskey stones are like a common name for some of these things when they get worn down by waves. And yeah, I think it's the state stone of Michigan, the Petoskey stone. Those are Hexagonaria genus corals, if memory serves. So yeah, from the Devonian period, that's like 150 million years before the first dinosaurs evolved. Stuff like that. you know? Yeah. And Kennedy says, if I recall, Jim Kirkland feels... So, Jim would say that's true in some cases, but you're probably thinking of Jack Horner or maybe Mark Goodwin, because they both think that a lot of dinosaur species like that are probably duplicates, like you said. Or the juveniles and the adults have been given different names. A lot of cases as well. Yeah. But the thing is, you can say that. It's easy to say, but how do you demonstrate that? Again, science is about testing ideas. And so one way to test if two dinosaur species that have been named are actually the same critter as an adult and a juvenile or whatever, you cut those bones open and you look at the growth rings inside. You do histological sampling, as we call it. You do histo on them. And so if one is a juvenile and one is an adult, then that can provide a clue. Maybe they are the same critter at different growth stages. So yeah, it's complicated. You know, these things are not easy, especially with dinosaurs. It would be nice if it were simple in the same way that it is with mammals, where, yeah, you know, they grow pretty quickly, but they're staying in their same niche their entire lives. Dinosaurs don't seem to have been like that. Like, one dinosaur could occupy maybe half a dozen, maybe a dozen different niches throughout its lifespan as they're moving through different size classes, getting bigger and changing morphology. Yeah. We're still figuring this stuff out, and that's exciting. Yeah. But yeah, it is a subject of absolutely, Kennedy, yeah. And the Devonian's your favorite period. Cool, Caribou Bonfire. What do you like about the Devonian? Is it the fishes deciding to come up onto land? Is it the development to, like, land plants are going crazy by that point? What do you like about the Devonian? And Hanaconda says, have we ever thought of dinosaurs of the same species having different types that look different depending on their life strategy? Like male salmon returning to breed early. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. That idea of sexual dimorphism. So the males and females, or whatever sexes there are, looking different. We see this in a lot of animals today. Sometimes you have extreme sexual dimorphism, like anglerfish are a good example, where the females, you know, look like an anglerfish, and the males are tiny, tiny, tiny. They don't just look like a different species, they look like a different family or a different order or something. They're crazy different looking, but they're members of the same species. We don't have that in dinosaurs at all. In fact, there's male and female dinosaurs apart in the fossil record. I say maybe because this might not even be reliable. But, yeah, I don't know. Just about every time that somebody's tried to do a big study looking at one species of dinosaur and trying to sort it into two different categories. Do we have males and females here? It's not worked out. It's just, there's too many different variables, and it might be that males and females are just skeletally identical. That shouldn't be shocking because that does seem to be the case in birds. Nearly all birds are, the male and female skeletons are indistinguishable from each other, except in terms of size. So like males might be a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller than females, depending on the species, but it's not like they have different shaped bones. It's not like they have a different size pelvic aperture. One of my roommates back in Montana actually like looked at a bunch of different pelvies from, I don't know if it was turkeys or chickens or what, but the males and the females, it's like not even the pelvic aperture where the eggs come out, not even that is a different size, to the point where you could tell which is a male and which is a female. The only way that we think you can tell a male and female dinosaur apart from the skeletons is if you cut the bones open and then you find what we call medullary bone in the limbs. So, like, for instance, in a femur. Medullary bone is this ring of bone that female birds deposit before they're about to lay their eggs. So as I understand it, it's almost like a calcium repository. Before the eggshell forms around the growing eggs, that calcium needs to be stored somewhere. And so there's like a temporary storage tank inside the femur, the medullary canal. And so the calcium gets deposited there for a while before it gets borrowed to make the eggshell. And so if you see that in, say, a Tyrannosaurus femur, and it has been found in a Tyrannosaurus femur before, then that shows that A, she was female, and B, she was getting ready to lay her eggs. It's a male dinosaur. They don't do this. That's the idea, but there are other paleontologists who are like, no, I don't buy that. Like, I don't think that's even a reliable method because I don't think it's actually medullary bone. I think it might be something to do with osteoporosis or something like that. So even that is a little bit squishy and uncertain. So, yeah. I'm certain that the different dinosaur sexes probably would have looked different in life, but it probably would have been like in birds where, you know, they have different colored feathers, differently sized, stuff like that, you know? It's not that they're different, it's that they're different in their external appearance or their size. And their behavior and stuff like that too, obviously. Soft tissue stuff would have been different. But skeletally, they may have been identical, you know? I would not be shocked if it turns out that, like, yeah, dinosaur males and females were skeletally identical in just about every way. Eurypterids, pterygotus. Oh, very cool pursuit. Nice. Yeah. Anyway, let me drink some more water. And we'll probably wrap up before too long. I'm happy that my battery has made it this far. It's so nice having cold water out here. Oh man, what a luxury. Yeah. And there you go, Crimson Carnothoris. You are on the right track there, thinking like a paleontologist. With those large concentrations of Centrosaurus and Pachyrhinosaurus that were caught in floods, I wonder if they would be the best bet to look for those signs of male and female. That is a great idea. And the problem with those is that they're disarticulated. So like the bones, the skeletons came apart after death. If they were intact, if you had a bunch of them in the... if those skeletons were intact, it would be much easier. But given that all of the bones are effectively loose, which bone belongs to whom, you know? It gets tricky like that. But you're right on the money when you're asking this question, because in that situation, you've already eliminated a lot of variables. So you know that these animals all lived together and died together. They're from the same time, they're from the same place, they're members of the same species. So you've already set yourself up well to answer that question. It's just, unfortunately, those are disarticulated. You get other concentrations of dinosaurs like that at other places, like Ghost Ranch in New Mexico. There's a whole bunch of Coelophysis, these little two-legged meat-eating dinosaurs from the Triassic period. And they all died together like that, and they, in many cases, are still articulated. So those bones are still, the skeletons are still together. So you can tell which bones belong to which critters, which individuals. And so that would be excellent to be able to try and study. Can you find two, like, can you easily sort them into two groups? Are there clear males and clear females or something like that? You know, can we, based on their skeletal morphology, say, oh yeah, this half looks different from that half? And from what I understand, nobody's been able to do that. They just all kind of look the same. You've got different sizes, different individuals of different ages, and people like Danny Barta, a colleague of mine we were together at Montana State at the same time. He was looking at their histology, so like looking at their growth and development, and found some really interesting things. But it seems like the males and the females are skeletally identical. Which again shouldn't be surprising because it's pretty much the way it is for birds. The one exception I can think of in birds is turkeys, where male turkeys will have this big spur that comes off of one of their leg bones, and I don't think the females have that. That's the only difference I can think of in any bird between males and females in the skeleton. is turkey spurs. I think it's a skeletal thing. I don't think it's soft tissue. I think it's part of the bone. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But yeah. And roosters too, no? Maybe them as well, Blue Sky Breezy. I don't know. Yeah. Other birds have spurs, says Anaconda? Okay. Yeah. Chickens too? Is it part of the skeleton, or is it just like a soft tissue part? Is it a claw? Is it made of keratin? Or is it actually part of the bone? That's what I want to know. Yeah. Good question. I've only ever heard spur. It's bone with keratin over the top, says Sibley. Interesting. And do the females completely lack that? Because that would be really interesting. To my knowledge, we've never seen that in a dinosaur. Well, it would be interesting, yeah. Yeah. Anywho. Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, we're coming up on 4 o'clock here. Thank you, Lavender, for the subscription. Really appreciate that. Thank you. We started our stream early today because we're going to have to take off in a little bit. We're going to be taking Jenny to the train station. She's going to be going back home. And we got to make sure we're on time for that. And yeah, so I'm gonna be wrapping things up early. Let's see who else is on Twitch right now. We can see if we could do a raid. But yeah, Lavender, thank you so much for the subscription. I really appreciate that. And female chickens get little nubby spurs, but they don't get very large. Interesting, Sibley. Okay, very cool. Fossil hunters. I've never heard of that before, Moose. On the UP, they've got dinosaur fossils? Are you sure about that? I didn't think they had the right age rocks on anywhere in Michigan. Any like Mesozoic rocks, but I could be wrong. Anywho, don't go away just yet, everybody. We're gonna see who else is doing some science on Twitch. And let's see. Watch, following. Who we got? Hoot House. GeoGem. Let's go right into GeoGem, shall we? Yeah. GeoGem 2006. Okay. Let's talk about some geology with GeoGem. Raid GeoGem 2006. Blow! There we go. Everybody, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your company. Really appreciate your questions, your enthusiasm. Thanks for hanging out with me. I know the internet is a big place and it could be just about anywhere right now, but you've been hanging out with me and that means a lot. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be able to bring you this kind of science outreach. Hopefully I'll actually be digging tomorrow and we can get into there. Quarry should be a little bit less crowded. And we should also have Jim showing up at some point, as well as Ken. It's going to be fun. But who supports the channel financially, you're the reason why I can be here in the first place. So we'll thank you to the moderators for keeping this a safe and welcoming community for everybody, and a pleasant streaming experience for me too. It'd be lousy if this whole chat were full of trolls and everything. Thank you, chat, for helping set the tone and keep things good. Appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who followed and rated and everything else. And without further ado, let's go right into GeoGem here. Whoops, how do I get rid of this? It won't let me get rid of the hype train announcement thing. Shoot, go away. There we go. Okay. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.